My cabbages! Low, low, man. Ah, my cabbages!
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew Esquire, American attorney here in Asia. In this illegal mindset, we teach you to be your own judge. So we're back here today at a time, once again, a little early in the US, but it is perfect time in Asia. It is 8 p.m. here in Bangkok. It's 10 p.m. over there in Korea. And it's a great time to be streaming with everybody here. And we've got a doozy today. We're not only going to be talking about the confirmed relationship with Johnny Somali and Hank Yu, we're also going to be talking about a more detailed breakdown of his first video back on YouTube. Yes, he posted a video on YouTube. We'll talk about how, we'll talk about what's going on there. I did a short version, which is already up. For once, I know this is very shocking. I will sometimes do this. For once, I made a short version, which is just a basic analysis of this video. But I went back and I looked at the comments under it, under that video, and there were some reoccurring comments that I want to answer today as part of a live. So we're going to do a more detailed breakdown. If you want to see a playthrough with only one pause, I only paused it once to clarify that his name is not Johnny Somali, it is Ramzi Khalid Ismail. If you want to see that version, you can go over to my channel. You can check that out. Let me pull that up right now so you guys can see it. If you want the short version, because I know there's some people, there's always people who forget that I'm a streamer and that I am not a short video producer that makes 5-minute videos first, right? I am primarily a streamer, will always be a streamer. I'm not going to stop being a streamer no matter how many times you complain about it in the comments. I'm a streamer first and foremost, like other streamers, you know, like Asmongold, who has streams that are multiple hours and he chops them up into clips. So if you want to wait for the clips, you can do that. But this is a rare occasion when it's something very big. I want to get it out there and I don't have enough time to do a 1 to 2 hour stream. I will put something out there sometimes for you guys. And I did that today. And you can see that over on my channel. If you want to see the short version of Johnny's first video, it is up here on my channel. You can see it here. Right here, Johnny Somali. Under this one, it's got Johnny Somali right here. It says attack. And it's pointing to Ice Poseidon, right? Because he clearly, and we'll talk about what he's doing and his strategy and all that stuff. He's clearly trying to come for IP2 for the whole group there and all those guys trying to kind of kick them while they're under siege. So we're going to talk about that. But if you want to see the short version, you can just go over here. It's only 6 minutes, 6 minutes and 54 seconds. So if you have the attention span of a goldfish, which I know some of you do, you can get that there. No problemo. Zero problemo. All right, so real quick here, I have to say thank you because we've got some good stuff today. Mazrova Palma dropping 100 Czech krona. Oh man, oh man, Dobre rano. Thank you. Mazrova Palma, and then coming up with 20 legal mindset memberships. So yes, Yellow Shower Goals demonetize the stream again. Okay, that's a little bit of a joke because what happened was last time. I think it was NZ who kept sending me super chats, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry. This song is public domain. It's public domain. You can play it." Well, I played it as the outro. It demonetizes the stream, and because it wasn't public domain, it wasn't fair use. At least it wasn't. It was fair use. Sorry, it was fair use. It wasn't registered by YouTube as public domain, and that's been a big issue because even some things that are copyright free, or rather the public domain. There's some companies that are claiming them, particularly with music. So I am very sensitive to playing any form of music unless it is is verified by YouTube itself to be, DRM free and rights free, because these things tend to happen even with stuff that that it's public domain. Clearly, it's public domain, but they'll still knock you on it. For example, playing really, really old classical music that's from the Middle Ages or the Renaissance period. Well, the orchestra that plays it may try to claim that. Get it? So the orchestra that plays it or the people that play it in the modern era may try to claim that, and YouTube may back that up, even though that is kind of bullshit, right? But that's just what happens. So for some little demonetization support, I got that goal up there because we're going to demonetize this one. Trust me, with all the videos I'm going to show you and some of the other analysis, we're going to get demonetized for show. Masrova Palma dropped 20 legal mindset memberships. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Then 2 OGs, Doug Diaz for 5 legal mindset memberships and King Lugia for another 5. And Ramsey is seeing the 5 and 5, and all he's doing is getting
Emotional damage.
So thank you, King Lugia. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Mazrova Palma. Appreciate you very, very much. In the chat, what did someone try to say? Are you a lawyer? Yes, I am a actual lawyer. I'm a Florida lawyer. I live in Asia, and generally the issues that I deal with in my day-to-day practice are generally federal law. So stuff I'm dealing with, like stuff like immigration, right? Immigration is federal law. If you're barred anywhere in the U.S., you can deal with immigration because that's all the U.S., right? So typically that's what I do in my day-to-day practice nowadays. But in the U.S., I did a lot of corporate law, real estate, due diligence, securities as well. So that was my time over there. I really got to know how corporations run. I was in-house counsel at a very large company for quite a while and represented a lot of other big companies like Universal Studios in Florida, doing a lot of work for them, a lot. And they're a great client, great people, really fun to work for. So yeah, real lawyer here. Let's see. Okay. So, don't worry. We're going to get demonetized. Don't worry. Some of the chat's worried. Oh, this is too sterile. You're not demonetized yet. Oh, don't you worry. Don't you worry, son. We're going to get there. All right. So the first thing I want to jump into is Johnny Somali being back. Now, some of you have already seen this. Some of you already have watched this, but we're going to get into his first video back. Now, one of the questions that people asked me about this was, how is he streaming? Like, logistically, they said, well, didn't they take all of his equipment? How is he streaming? Well, two things. They took his equipment. The police took Johnny Somali's equipment. They took his phones and I believe some of his cameras as well. But they took them for the purpose of evidence. They didn't take them thinking they're going to permanently ban him from picking up another phone ever. And they didn't explicitly ban him from picking up another phone ever. What prevents him is, or what legal side of it is his visa, or really lack thereof, a work visa. We'll talk about that in a second. But they didn't take Hank's phones. They didn't take phones from stores. They didn't go to every store in Seoul and confiscate every phone or every camera, etc. He could go out there and legally purchase another phone or a camera, and technically he can start recording whatever he wants. His phones that were taken for evidence purposes, not because they thought that the taking of that alone was going to prevent him from streaming. I hope that clarifies. And to be very clear, as we're going to see, he is clearly in Hank's apartment because, of course, we called this months ago that they were clearly cuddle buddies, and it's now visually confirmed for us. It's not just me saying it, right? Or people that know saying it, or clear confirmations from Hank, who said that I am with Johnny. We showed that a stream or two ago. It's not just words. We see in visual clarity that he is in the exact same location as Hank. They're together in Hank's Love Shack in Seoul, doing all these shenanigans, right? So he posted to a YouTube channel. Now, here's the thing. This is clearly ban evasion because he is banned off of YouTube. So he is trying to pop up on another channel and stream. So clearly there's some ban evasion going on there. YouTube, I'm sure we'll get on it. I'm sure he'll get nuked on YouTube soon enough. If it's not already happened, it'll happen soon enough. My understanding is that his intention was to stream on Party and or Rumble, but neither one of those have great monetization. So everybody wants to be on a bigger platform like YouTube, like Twitch, like Kick, because the monetization is better on those platforms. Of course, Kick is Kick is a platform that has permanently banned him, and they've said they're not going to let him back, period. And that's been said by, people within Kick, the staff themselves, privately. It's also been said publicly by a lot of the streamers, including the people he's trying to get banned, including people like the Ice Poseidon crew in Japan, right? They've all said, yeah, he's banned from Kick. And I had another people messaging me, Xena messaged me, who's one of the girls who, confronted him in Hongdae. She said, hey, look, he's banned. And she even went as far as saying he's banned in CX as well, even mentioning him, even dropping my video link was too much, right? They don't even want my video criticizing Johnny because they don't want anything to do with him. It's like full term ban, like Johnny Somali, good, bad, nothing, that you can't talk about this guy, period. He's gone. He's completely purged, right? So there's a lot of folks that have disassociated with them, and he is salty about that, right? He's salty about that. Curious, before you get in the main topic of the stream, did you search about Montoya before? I have not had time. I've been looking through a lot of other stuff, particularly related to this, making a lot of calls, doing a lot of talking to folks. Speaking of talking to folks, I sent a message over to Atozi because I had or A to Z, whatever you guys, I know you guys always give me, there's like a debate on how to say his name, whatever. I said Atozi. So anyways, I sent him a message saying, hey, look, you want to book. At this point, I've been told that people are pretty confident this is going to go through March 7th, right? We haven't seen much signs that there's going to be a change yet. So it's probably, we're about 2 weeks out-ish, a little over 2 weeks. It's probably fine. I don't want him to pay $1 million for his flight to Korea. I said, hey, here's the general information you need. If you need help with hotels, whatever, I'll help you out. I'll give you some recommendations. But hope we can link up there, and he seems like he's going to be at the trial with me, so that'll be good news if he can get everything booked and set up. So that's good news for him, and should make an interesting trial. Sailor Moon for 5 Canadian says, doesn't streaming on Hanky Poo's stuff count against his whole not being allowed to stream thing? Yes, it does. So I'll explain this now, and then we'll also explain it during this. He is prohibited from streaming. He should not be streaming under his current visa, which is a litigation visa or a visa for the purposes of being prosecuted for civil or criminal charges. That does not allow you to work. It is work. It is monetized. It is getting you revenue directly or indirectly, whether it's through people giving you sponsorships or money or whatever on other platforms. It can be constituted as work, primarily since that's his job as a streamer. So because of that, it is possible for them to bring other charges against him. Now, this is the same thing as speeding, right? Speeding is illegal, but do people get caught doing it? No. Many people break this term. Many people in Korea and Japan and many countries break the law and never get caught. Let me say this one more time. This is a very important fact. Many people break the law and never get caught. And for most streamers, they just get away with it because, well, they're small fry, whatever. He's Johnny Somali. Most of Korea knows about him. So it's only a matter of time before this gets to the prosecutor and comes up. And it's not going to come up right away. It could come up 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line as this trial progresses and as this trial, goes on. It could come up later. It could come up, in September. They could say, oh, yeah, by the way, he's been streaming during this. So we're going to add another thing here. We're going to aggravate it. We're going to increase the charges here. We're going to bring up this as a factor at the trial. So this is something that will be brought up surely now, 100%. At some point, but it's not like the police kick down your door and say, hey, stop streaming. That's not how it works. The system doesn't work like that. So I think when people were responding in the comments, one of the biggest questions I got is, how is he streaming? Well, it's not like the government, comes into all your devices and sees you when you're streaming and pulls the plug. That's not how it works really anywhere, honestly. They just come knocking later, and Johnny's going to get the delivery of the information to his, possible lover, definitely roomie's apartment, Hank, and then he's going to get a letter saying, hey, there's another charge. And hey, it's violation of the terms of your visa, right? So, and that may come later down the line. So I think people get really angst. They have angst, because they want these things to come down right away, but that's not how they work. And to be honest, it's to the benefit of the prosecution of Johnny Somali if he keeps streaming. So I'm happy for him to keep streaming. And in fact, it seems like the world missed Johnny Somali. It seems like they needed more Johnny Somali. It seems like Johnny Somali is a necessary element to the streaming ecosystem. It looks like there's a little bit of energy injected here now that Johnny's back on the scene. How is Muse Asia surprised about free anime and BKK? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Danny Scare, for the Siroy. Taibot, appreciate that. Yeah, the anime is very well loved here. People misinterpret and misunderstand anime as just a Japanese thing. It is a global thing now, especially post-COVID. But even before COVID, it was beloved in many other countries, particularly in Southeast Asia. I'll go around and see people with anime keychains and their husbando or waifu stickers and everything else. I was on the BTS, the Sky Train the other day, and I saw the Thai girl just reading a manhwa, and then another one reading another person reading a manga like a book, right? And they were not Japanese. So once again, it's very common, very popular, and that's awesome. That's why I love living over here, because anime is it's a global thing. It's really cool. Baked Buddhist for 5 legal mindset memberships. Thank you so much for baking my Buddhist friend. Thank you.
Yes.
Without further ado, let's get to Johnny's video. Now, if you want to see this uncut, kind of raw, I have this on my X, so you can kind of go over there and see that here. So I'm going to blow this up, and you guys can see Johnny Somali here. Was that not showing the right one? Hold on, maybe not showing the right one. My tabs are legion here. I have so many tabs. Okay, let's see. So many tabs. Okay, here it is. Yeah, that was just my default page. Okay. All right. There we go. Johnny Somali. Yeah, that's my timeline. My timeline's weird. Ashley St. Clair blowing up the timeline right now, but we're not covering Ashley St. Clair. I'm gonna cover Ashley St. Clair on locals. So locals bros. Shout out to my locals bros. We got Osan, we got Veggie Han. I'm gonna have a pretty based rant on that, but that's for locals. Ashley St. Clair's for locals. Okay, let's play that. Everyone's blowing up over that now.
Hello to the people of Japan and the people of the world. I want to make this message because I've been gone for a long time. Let me introduce myself if you don't know me already. I am Johnny Somali. I am part of the criminal nuisance live streamer gang called CX. I am a high-ranking member in the black sheep of the family. We are ran by our top leader, Ice Poseidon. He's the leader of CX, and Miss Kiff, the leader of OTK. We are part of a live streaming
Okay, so let me correct something right here. Okay, so he is not part of CX. He's been banned from CX. So he is so just to be very clear, he is not allowed as part of that. If you mention him, you will get banned. In fact, I saw the screen cap of Johnny Somali getting banned, any talk of Johnny Somali being banned from that. So this is bullshit. So now, was he at some point? That's different, but currently that's not true. So this thing he's saying right now is it's trolling. Yeah, like Baked Buddha says for 5, Johnny is troll streaming. Jesus, they think others hope. Yeah. Also, Western Body for 10 Canadian says my CABG off to emerge. I go. Welcome. Also, Felzy for 10 says, do you know about our Lord, Lady, and Savior Haruhi Suzumiya? No, I do not. You can tell me more. All right. So anyways, another question I got, and this is a very good one, is what is this flag? So people were questioning what this flag is because people kept saying, oh, it's not China and it's not North Korea. Well, people didn't know China enough. So this is actually, and here you go, this is actually, John Doe called it in the chat, the Chinese People's Liberation Army flag. So I'm going to pull up a separate article here just so you guys see it and to confirm it. This is the official flag of the People's Liberation Army. I'll just pull up the wiki on this. But you can see here the war flag and the naval jack created in 1949 for the PLA by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, at the start of the rebellion in Nanchang against the nationalist government. So boom, there you go. Actually, it was created in it was a reference to events in August 1st, 1927, which is 8/1, right? So 8th month, August 1st, 8th month, first day, right? So 8/1. So that is the PLA flag. So people were confused. They were saying it wasn't the Chinese flag. Well, it's not the main flag, but it's the PLA flag. So that should correct a lot of questions, because I that was a very common question in the comments of that video. Okay, let's continue here.
High-ranking member and the black sheep of the family.
He is not a high-ranking member. He's not a member at all.
We are ran by our top leader, Ice Poseidon.
So we're going to get into, I'm going to let this play a little bit, but there are these photos in these notices. Now, these were created under very interesting circumstances, and I'm going to tell you about them in a second, because I've done some digging and some investigation, and this does tie in. And today we are going to cover the Japanese streamers, the Japanese nuisance streamers, because this is the Somali case is beginning to tie up with them, because Somali is trying to salt them. He's trying to get them stopped. He's trying to shut down all nuisance streaming because, as he says, if he can't do it, he doesn't want anybody to do it. CX, he's pointing to, this is Misgift and this is Ice Poseidon. So he's pointing to those two as the ringleaders, trying to put it on them. Once again, both of them have put distance from Johnny Somali, have disowned him. When slightly homeless, tried to call him. They said, hang up. This guy's an embarrassment. We don't want anything to do with him. That's what they've said. It's up to you guys to be your own judge as to how you feel about that. I have people in the comments that say, yeah, they're to blame. And there's people that say, well, they don't want nothing to do with him, so that's good enough for me. I don't think they're to blame anymore. That's up to you. I'm not telling you what to think. You make your own decision. Be your own judge.
He's the leader of CX and Misgift, the leader of OTK. We are part of a live streaming international criminal mafia of nuisance streamers that have came to Japan.
So this is I'm going to show you guys the detailed version of this. So we're going to get into it because I've got the blown up version of this. And this is something that I believe he printed off of Twitter, or alternatively, he may have created it. And we'll talk about this, or somebody may have created this. So we'll talk about it. Somebody non-Japanese may have created this.
To bring you freedom, to bring you American values. You weak Japs will never stop us. You will never stop CX. You will never stop Johnny Somali. You will never stop Ice Poseidon, Paul Danino, who is my mentor, my teacher, my leader. So he's doxing him there. I mean, his name has already been doxed, right? So it's not like Ice hasn't been doxed, before, and people don't know his information. But once again, it's different when you see people doing it intentionally, right? You see people saying this, very, very intentionally. He's saying it knowing that it can get him in trouble, knowing that, he wants them to have people coming for him, right? He's trying to do these things. He's trying to make these things happen. Leader. If it was not for Ice Poseidon, I would have never came to Japan. And if you try to arrest Ice Poseidon, if you try to stop Paul Danino or any of our group.
See, he's being ironic here. He's trying, if you try to stop them, that's what he wants. He wants them to try to stop him, to try to stop him. That's exactly what he wants.
If you try to stop ABZ Abdullah, the terrorist, the one that paid for all of our kick deals and steak deals, if you try to stop ABZ Abdullah, this fat fuck, I promise you I'll be back in Japan soon. You'll never.
Okay, so real quick, I want to be very clear. And by the way, shout out to the Deserto or Dexerto or however you say it. I know they told me to say it was Deserto, but Dexerto. But anyways, they had a good article and they quoted me on this. They quoted my video, which is awesome. By the way, we're going to be watching an infographic at the end of this on the Johnny Somali case that I'm in. And I'm going to be telling you what's kind of true and what's not true, what's accurate and not accurate. But the article got this correct, that Johnny Somali cannot enter Japan because he is a criminal in Japan. So he is banned for 5 years. So he has a hard ban for 5 years. If he goes to the airport, they won't even give him a ticket to go there. And even if they did give him a ticket somehow through a mistake or whatever else, the second he got to Japanese immigration, he'd be bounced. He'd be detained until he got a new flight, and he wouldn't be able to get into Japan. He wouldn't get past the airport. So Johnny Somali cannot come to Japan. So this threat is an empty, impotent threat. He cannot come to Japan. In 5 years, he is highly likely to be irrelevant and or in jail or whatever else, maybe some broken legs if he continues his behavior. And that's not me making any threats. That's me stating a fact based on the objective amount of physical threats this man has received, or this child has received from people across the world, people in America, people in Japan, people in Korea, people everywhere, have made comments about this person. So I think, 5 years, you're not going to have to worry about this kid.
Stop Kang Joel. You'll never stop Hugh Sama, Showtime, and all these fucking leeches.
So a real important point here is this little thing. It has a lot of the kick streamers on it, including him, but it also had his friend Slightly Homeless. He doesn't mention Slightly Homeless. He leaves him out because he is his buddy. He's his bro. So he's going through talking about them names and talking about who they are and kind of doxing some of them, saying their full names. But he doesn't talk about his friends. So clearly he's trying to target those that he doesn't like in here to get them in trouble.
We will destroy Japan. And I promise you, if you arrest any of them, if you stop any of them, if you attack any of them, I will come back to Japan. And
he cannot. So this is once again, an impotent threat. This is the same type of threat as with the streamers in Japan. If you remember the streamer Gagan TV, who got his ass kicked by the Japanese guys with the bottle, that video we reviewed on a live, which was great. And the clip of that, by the way, is up under my videos tab. That guy, is exactly the same sort of fake tough guy as Johnny. They make threats they can't back up. Gagan was like, yeah, these guys are a bunch of betas. They won't fight us. And literally 2 seconds later, he's running away, crying, screaming like a little girl as the guy beats him up, right? And chases him with a bottle. Same thing with Johnny here. He's saying, I'm going to come get you. And he's not even going to try to leave the country because, first of all, he can't leave Korea. That's another thing. He can't leave Korea. He probably won't be able to leave until 2026 at this point. And I'm not joking. The most likely, the earliest he leaves Korea is 2026. So you don't got to worry about him. He's on the island Korea right now for the unforeseen future. So therefore, I think this is completely impotent. He's making a threat he has no ability to back up.
I will bring.
However, I forgot to mention this. What I think his plan is, and this is something that I can now percolate. I can now talk about. I think his plan is to try to disrupt the kick streamers when they come to Korea. Let me say it again. I think he's going to try to cause an incident for clout when they come to Korea because he wants the attention. He wants whatever. So when they come to Korea, because most likely they're going to need to renew their visas at some point because they're trying to be 100 days in Japan. They can only spend 90. They're going to have to come to Korea. I think Busan. They'll probably take the boat. Right, because that's better streaming content than a plane. They'll come over on the boat, and he'll try to create some sort of incident when they get there. I think that might happen. I think that's the plan. All of them may come. Some of them may come. I think all of them will come because they all will need to renew their visas. None of them have legal long-term visas in Japan. None of them. So they're going to have to come there. So he may try to interrupt them or attack them or do something for clout. Particularly, joined by his lover boy and other disruptors. So that's going to be the content, as the kids call it, right? Whenever they're annoying and abrasive and screaming and calling each other, all sorts of ad hominems, that's content for them, right? That's content, peak content.
Back vengeance. Remember how there was 2 atomic bombs? Remember how there was.
So now he's doing the same thing. By the way, that's exactly what pissed off the Japanese people. He is referencing the bombing of Japan. He's trying to do this once again. As a reminder, he went around Japan in general, Tokyo, Osaka, other places, with speakers playing, spamming text to speech, Hiroshima, Nagasaki on the metro. Outdoors, everywhere in Japan.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I was the little boy. CX is the fat man. They came to bring revenge for locking me up and falsely.
They don't care. So CX is glad he's getting locked up at this point. They want him to go to jail. Most people openly wish him to go to jail at this point. They want him to be locked up. I think I was talking with Zena, and she was like, yeah, I want him to go to jail. I'm like, yeah, okay, so do I. Cool, we're on the same team. So most people at this point who are streamers, who are kick streamers, want him to be put away because he's a bad example, and he's setting a bad example for all of them and dragging all of them down. If he's not punished, if he's allowed to go free, and particularly if he's allowed back on Kick, he's going to create a horrible image for that platform. And yes, I know she doesn't speak for him. Once again, I'm just giving an anecdotal. That's what I call an anecdotal example. Nobody speaks for anything. I'm just saying anecdotally, right? Anecdotally. So yes, I'm not making it a definitive statement here. I'm just saying that from what I've heard of streams, for example, in the stream where Slightly Homeless called Ice Poseidon said it himself. He said, we don't want nothing to do with that guy. That's what I said. That's what Suspended said. That's what all the other people that were there said. I think Sam Pepper was there too. They all said it. So it wasn't just one of them saying we want nothing to do with Johnny. It was more of them. All right, I'm gonna get I'll wait on the comments because there's a lot here. So I'm gonna wait till we finish this because it's almost done. This is a very short clip.
And locking up Louis X. Fuck Japan. It's fucking CX till I fucking die. You dumbass.
So this, in case you guys don't know, this is not the current Japanese flag. This is the Imperial War flag. It's the battle flag, the Rising Sun flag. So it's not really the current like national flag of Japan. So he's using he's intentionally trying to be inflammatory. I mean, mind you, he's standing behind a PLA flag. He's using this as his background. The Chinese People Liberation Army flag, because him and his roomie / possible lover Hank are currently praising China, praising the CCP and Xi Jinping, and they're trash talking South Korea and trash talking Koreans in general as a race, and they're currently promoting the racial superiority of Chinese. That's what both Johnny and Hank are doing currently.
Motherfuckers, fuck Japan. Suck our dick, cocksuckers.
This is why I said we get demonetized. Remember, I'm going to show you the video because you guys need to see the raw video. But when he says, suck our D, that's some demonetization. So if you could throw some love for some demonetization, it'd be much appreciated. But I feel like you guys need the raw, authentic version. You don't need the watered down version where I censor it and put a bleep in it. I got to give it to you raw. So there's our demonetization. Thank you guys for being here. Love you.
Us streamers, we run your fucking country.
No, they do not. No, they do not. Fun fact. The streamers give negative to the economy. In fact, they're kind of like the oh gosh, I'm going to get canceled for this one. They're kind of like streamers do to the economies of Asia what undocumented migrants do to the healthcare system in certain border states, right? Like Arizona, for example, where the healthcare system is burdened by billions of dollars in extra expenses from, unpaid medical fees, right? It's essentially the same thing for the legal system. Think about this. They're having to put in hundreds of thousands of dollars into as a collective in Korea, Japan, Thailand, other places where they've come. The police are, instead of going after murderers or drug dealers or hard criminals, human traffickers, they have to put police officers on these motherfuckers. This is what they have to do. They have to reallocate their resources to these guys, right? This is draining those countries of resources that could be put elsewhere. Now, they're very safe countries. Let's not make any mistake. Japan is very safe. Korea is very safe. A lot of these countries are extremely safe countries, but it's still a waste of time. There's still better things they could be doing than this.
CX in the motherfucking chat. And make sure...
There's no chat, by the way. This was pre-recorded. So him saying CX in the chat is it's pretty brain dead.
You take out...
But we do have cabbages in the chat. So if you guys could drop some cabbages in the chat, that'd be nice.
Out Mizkif. This is the leader of OTK. This is the top general. These are the two top leaders. This is the CX vice president and the president right here. You need to get Mizkif and you need to get Paul Dino Ice Poseidon. Nigga, CX in the motherfucking chat. I love you, Paul Denino. You're my mentor, my leader, everything.
See that smiling? He's like trolling. He knows he's trolling here.
Sayonara. Please fuck up Japan for me. I'll be back soon.
He will not be back soon at all. So that's his first video. So we're going to be breaking down some elements of this, but that is the Somali's first video back. Yeah, cabbages in the chat. Thank you guys. Thank you for dropping those cabbages. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. All right, let's get to your questions and your chats. And I'll go in order. Agamenta says, for the F-bomb compensation fund, thank you. Nick Brown for the cabbage fund, $9.99. Thank you for that. Cryo site Suyoineko says, hey, Andrew, catching you live finally. Hey, welcome. Glad you caught me live. Awesome. Scorpid Black Dragon says, for 10, medical advisory. If you eat enough beets, what normally comes out yellow can quickly turn red. Also, can we start a GoFundMe for Johnny to travel and drill for oil in Iran? Once he's able to leave the country. Sure. Rigo for that says, wow, I'm late to stream this time. Korea needs to fast track RKI's trial. Here's some money for the juice box. Thank you for that. Do we hit it? We're one away. We're one away from hitting it, boys. We're one away from the goal of our demonetization, which has already happened. Tank Rat for 10 says, I thought I tuned into a VOD. To my surprise, it's a live stream. Here's for the demonetization by the Cabbage Johnny Scuff. Thank you. Also, Rigo dropping 20 Legal Mindset memberships, and then Mazurva Palma with another 20. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Thank you so much over there. You know Johnny's having
emotional damage.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Rigo. Thank you, Mazurva Palma. Appreciate that. And then we've got Kiernoth dropping another 5 Legal Mindset memberships. One of my long-term members. Thank you, Kiernoth. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Also, Peroro channel dropped a membership. Thank you. Welcome. And good to see you. I don't think I've seen you as a member before, so welcome as a member. That's really cool. I always like new people coming to the channel. That makes me happy. Petrolhead says, to be honest, I don't think there's a more punchable face than Johnny's. He's up there, which is why I think a lot of people sympathize with Dalgun and everybody else who's punched Johnny Somali, because it is indeed very punchable face. You can't deny that. Tom Cole for 10, getting us over the top to the goal and then pushing us into extra innings. We've got Mazurva Palma with 10 for the last one, missing 100 Czech krona. We've got Cryosite Suoneko saying, wait, you're giving us a raw stream? Yours isn't even yellow. Thank you. And Linux Guy 10 saying, lol, I hope this winds up being more charged or at least a smackdown. Thank you guys, and thank you for the golden shower of supas. It was, while it might be a little bit
disgusting,
I do indeed appreciate it, and it does help support me. Thank you guys. JP Ravenfire, my mod for 5. Thank you for modding, and thank you for the 5, JP, and Alpha O for 1. If you've received any memberships today from anyone, please say thank you to all of them. Danny Skier for Sidoy Taibot says, did you get in contact with that Japanese politician? I am following her, and I am going to hit her up after this. So I was waiting for some motion, which happened. We're going to talk about that. She is actually the one who filed the charges. We're going to talk about her, who she is, and what she filed against Somali today. So we're going to get to that. But there's some motion there. So I'm hoping we can talk with her, and maybe I'll even go over there to Japan at some point. I'm going over this weekend, but for business, work-related business, not for talking or interviews. But I often travel to Japan, often travel to Korea. So I'd be happy to at one point do an interview and sit down and talk about Johnny and nuisance streaming with her. Chaos Sonic 1 so this will backfire on Johnny big time. Payne Cabal says, you got my mail in the Korean video game Dark and Darker? I believe I did, but I'm really stuck on topics, but I believe I did. Thank you so much. My email, if you want to send it to me, is andrewesquirelive@gmail.com. Thank you. Bad News Badger for 20 Danish kroner said, Hank and Johnny sitting in a tree. KISSING. First comes love, then comes 10,000 won. Then comes, well, we know what happens after 10,000 won. English last for £2 says, Ramseyfication is super. Indeed. Loaded Demigod, a member for 5 months, says, glad Ramsey hasn't changed. This will be fun. Oh, yeah. Nicholas says, is it possible for 5? Is it possible he's getting CCP funding for this? Honestly, I thought about that, and that would be a very good way to try to destabilize countries. And I don't want to get too political and too Alex Jones, like throw on my tinfoil hat here, although that would just mean I'll be proved right in 6 months. I don't want to be too tinfoily, but particularly in Korea, there is a big concern especially in certain political spheres, about interference with the CCP. And there's been people that have said that he's sponsored by the left. There's people that say he's sponsored by the far right. So there's people making those accusations. Obviously, those haven't been proven. If those were proven, then he would be charged with very serious crimes in Korea as a Chinese agent, as an agent who is subverting the nation, who is spreading communist propaganda. That could be a very, very severe punishment if that was ever caught. I don't think my gut feeling is I don't think it's that. I think it's just him being an idiot and him trying to chase clout, but you never know. MJ today for 500 won. Ochan. Well, no. Ochan? Yeah, Ochan. Says he wasted his dwindling money on printing those pages in full color. I know. I wonder what he had to do for Hank for that. How much did Hank charge per page? I'll leave that up to you guys. I'll leave it up to your imagination. Ryobi said, more for $13.99 Canadian. Oh, we got a lot more. Don't worry. Mazuro Paul for 12 months says, I've subscribed for a year now. Yes, we are over a year of me coming in the VTuber sphere. A happy anniversary to everyone who followed me for VTuber coverage. I appreciate you. I love you. You guys are the best community ever. Whatever smack people talk about, the VTuber community is total bullshit because you guys are my best fans and honestly some of my best supporters. And you're super based. You're very intelligent and you're on it. And, you like the reactions. I mean, what can I say? You guys are down and down for just about anything. All right. Let's see here. CC. Oh, I said Siroy. Did I say it 2 times? Maybe because last time I said CC, didn't I? Or maybe I've been reading it wrong. Sorry. I was up late last night. I was up very late. And C. Roy was how much money I was spending for drinks last night. So maybe that was it. I got triggered. Rigo for 10 says, we all know you're retarded enough to put on the hat and believe the CCP is funding him, but we watch your streams. So what does that say about us? Exactly. The chat reflects the streamers and the streamers reflect the chat. So it's really going both ways. Look, all I'm saying is I'm willing to, as a good lawyer, you have to think of scenarios that are possible. And then you think about probability. I think the probability of him being a CCP plant is low. However, is it possible? Yes. So I cannot eliminate that as a possibility. There's no way with the information we have to do that. However, I think the probability is low. That's a fair statement, an accurate statement. But yeah, I'm willing to entertain that as a hypothesis. It's not impossible for that to be true. Captain, as a member for 2 months, thank you. KMW. Member for 13 says, is this reference to bombs offensive in Asian countries? Yes. Or mostly offensive. Well, the nuclear bombs, because it's specifically damaging to Japan. So yes, that is. I get pissed off as a foreigner, even when he mentions that so casually. Yeah, it's offensive in Japan. So saying Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and he says little boy and fat, like, come on, fat man, little boy, right? He's making the direct references. He's not being sly about it. Clotho, what's up, Clotho? Says, what's the best soju? I like the quote. I like no flavor soju because in Korea, the real Koreans, the OG Koreans, right? They don't drink the flavored stuff. That's for export mostly. Now, of course, there's always exceptions. There's always some people that like that, whatever, right? But mostly the flavored soju is for export. So you don't find it as much. Yes, you can find it, but it's not as popular. If you go into any GS25 or whatever, like you're going into any Pyeongchang in Korea, any convenience store, you're going to find mostly unflavored soju, just soju, because you're going to mix it into somek with beer, or you're just going to do a shot, or you're going to maybe mix it with like a juice or something in an ice cup, which is what I would do when I want to drink soju. I'd kind of mix it or cut it, which is great. There's a lot of good stuff. You can kind of choose your own adventure. Deadly Raver for 5 says, what's up, Legal Mindset and crew? Looks like old Johnny Somali is about to speedrun becoming a permanent citizen in South Korea the hard way. No, he's unqualified from becoming a citizen because of his criminality. If he was convicted, right? That would definitely be a disqualifier. LCPL anime guy says, MAGA hat while in front of a commie flag. We don't want him. If he tries anything, the home defense cannon ways of the Second Amendment protection, Johnny. Well, one of the funny things is Hank has actually said that he's made death threats against the Korean streamers, saying that if they were in America, he would delete them and claim self-defense. So Hank has said in Discord messages, which we showed, I believe, a stream or two ago, that he would death threat them. Essentially, he said he would do that. And so that's obviously going to be relevant. That's definitely relevant to Hank's case, where Hank is making public threats in an open Discord, in a public Discord, because that's considered public. It's not just you and one other person, and you're making death threats against other streamers. That's pretty bad. So, and that information is getting out there. It's being publicized. So that's pretty bad. It's going to look bad for Hank's case and how innocent Hank is. Vivian Raj, welcome as a new member. Ryobi for $6.99 says, short stack here, cosplaying Trump, PLA battle flag in the background, and trash talk Japan while trapped in South Korea. Boy, some cabbages and a brain. Nobody believes he's an actual Trump supporter. He's not, and nobody believes he's an actual, diehard CCP lover. He's not. He's just trying to be stupid and do stupid stuff for clout and attention and, inconsistency. Chaos Sonic for 5 says, if Johnny gets back in Japan, it's on site and Johnny will cry like a little bitch he is. He's not getting back in Japan for at least 5 years. And once again, even after 5 years, they can choose not to let him in. I've explained this before. Immigration, and particularly tourist visiting countries, is not granted automatically. You're not guaranteed to come into a country. They can say no for any reason. And in the case of Johnny Somali, Japan has a very good reason to, under their own discretion, deny him forever. He's definitely hard banned. Like, there's no choice for 5 years. However, after that, they could look at his record and what he said about Japan, and they could say, you know what, we're putting a special note in here that we're just going to not let him in ever again. And that's totally within their sovereign power. They're a sovereign country. And I know this is something that we don't like to talk about in the West, but borders are the quintessential part of enforcement of what is and isn't a country. Without a border, there's no country. It's just land that anybody can roam through. And part of letting people in and out is enforcement of that power over the borders of the state. When you're in the airport, you're actually technically not in the country yet until you pass through immigration, pass through security. You're in some ambiguous international zone. So they can say, yeah, we just don't feel like letting you in, and we have no obligation under any international treaty to let him into Japan, period. There's no way. They could just say, we don't like you because you're a dick, and not let him in. And I think that's a great reason, because he is a dick. Cryosite Sioneko says, philosophers, on the other hand, take the improbable and pretend, well, it's possible, and turn that into, that's how it is. Exactly. I'm not turning a molehill into a mountain, right? But I don't like to dismiss stuff. I like to keep an open mind about it, because in the law, we can often see situations where the craziest scenario you would have never thought possible is indeed what happened. We had a murder involving a suitcase, right? We've had absolute ridiculous situations, even going back to trials where, the glove don't fit. There's other things you can't see that will pop up that you would have never imagined as part of the course of the trial. Amber Heard, my dog stepped on a bee, right? All these sort of crazy things you wouldn't think about, and they're not very probable, but they come up. So you gotta leave an open mind. Crazy stuff can happen, and in the Johnny Somali case, do not leave out crazy stuff happening over the course of this trial. Remember, this trial will not be one day. This is the first day. We are likely going to have a hearing every month or every other month, right? We're going to have hearings until September, October, November, December. Could be a very long time. This is something that is not going to be over on March 7th. This is something that starts on March 7th, and that's the first day. The first day. And then we have a month break. It's going to be drawn out. He's got to pay for himself. He's got to be doing, whatever he's doing with Hank for as long as he's got to do that to stay, cuddle buddies. It's uncomfortable. Jim Blade says soju with mango juice is really good. Yes, indeed. That is a Southeast Asia special right there. I like that. All right, so let's talk about what some of the suspicious stuff. So one thing I wanted to bring up was this list. So we see this list over here with Johnny. Let me just share this window with you, and you'll be able to see it here. Okay, so he has this list of streamers. You guys can see it here, right? So here's it is. Here's a list of streamers. So this is a document that it was circulating widely across the internet. And what got me curious was, where the hell did this come from? So I looked over, and Asmongold even reviewed a video looking at this. He actually reviewed this video from Drama Alert, right? So Drama Alert posted this. So Japanese citizens have released a wanted poster for kick streamers. And so you see here the list in this. And then you get the name of the account, which is Yamazu Korisha, right? So I went and tracked that down, and I tracked down the what was the original posting on Twitter. Now, this is something you got to be very careful of. With Twitter, you never know who's who. You never know who creates an account. And actually, related to Johnny Somali and a lot of these people, there have been a lot of fake accounts. There have been a lot of people that are not in the country that they're in, saying they're in that country. This is a huge problem for Japan. There's been a massive problem for Japan. There are several Twitter accounts that know that Japanese content, because Japan is trending, so many tourists are going to Japan. Japan, actually, fun fact, has passed Thailand in the amount of tourists. And that's not because no tourists are going to Thailand. That's because so many people are going to Japan. They're overwhelmed. That is an insane number of people. Their tourist infrastructure does not have the capacity to service those people in the high traffic spots. The problem is Japanese tourists are not spreading out. They're not going to the Inaka, the countryside, right? They're not going to the countryside. They're going to Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto. And that's it. Maybe one or two other places. But they're just going, and now they're in Sapporo. Everyone's there for the snow festival. Their infrastructure is really not built for that many people, and they're kind of overwhelmed. Their police are overwhelmed. Their public services are overwhelmed. The transit networks are overwhelmed. And that's a real big problem. But people see that, and they create these X accounts pretending they're Japanese. The thing is, it's pretty clear when, especially for native Japanese, when people are LARPing or pretending to be Japanese, and they may or may not actually be Japanese. So I ended up going to this profile, ended up talking to this individual behind the scenes, and they claim they have not said whether they're of Japanese nationality. And my thought is they're probably not. They say they have friends and family in Japan, but they communicated to me entirely in English, but then they proceeded to tell me that their English wasn't so good. So I'm confused, because they have this thing here. They posted this. This is where Drama Alert got it from. But when you see one of the posts, I think it's this one. Hold on, I'll show it to you. Yeah, here it is. A Japanese person is questioning their posts because it's a new account. It's a very new account. And they're saying here, who are you? You're clearly not Japanese. Your Japanese text seems very odd. Your text may be based on English translated into Japanese using a machine translator. Who the heck are you, and what is your purpose? And they make a misspelling there, because probably they're, once again, Japanese. So they're trying to translate it over. So whether or not this person is Japanese is out there. And the other thing that's very interesting is that Johnny is not currently a kick streamer. So I think the reason why they included Johnny in this is for the sensational amount. Johnny is the black sheep. Johnny is the worst one here. And obviously they included him because he's going to get people pissed off, because they're going to all associate them with Johnny. So this is something that, to an extent, Johnny Somali might want to put out himself. So I'm not saying Johnny put this out, but somebody could have put this out who was affiliated with Johnny or whatever else. And I'm not sure whether this person created this or they got this or whatever else. But here you go. It's got the listing of all these people: Johnny Somali, Ice Poseidon, Tamin 1998, ABZ, Slightly Homeless, King Joel, Hyob-sama, Showtime, Sam Pepper, Lord Hito, Gagan TV. He's the one who got his ass kicked. Murat Style. And then we've got over here the second page, which is Ice Poseidon, Lord Hito, and Gagan TV right here. So that's the Japanese streamers well right there. So you've got that one as well. So whether or not this is like the origins of this, it kind of peaked a little flag for me. Once again, the person says they want Johnny to go to jail. So I said, okay, cool. That's what I want too. But we'll see. Yeah. Suspendus is not on that list. Yes. Someone mentioned that in the chat. Very interesting when I looked into that. Vedic Aryan for £5 says, can you do a video on Gagan TV and Lord Hito getting beat up? I did. I did. So if you want to see that, go over here to my channel, Vedic, and go over here to videos, click the videos tab, and then go to Assaulted in Japan. This is Gagan TV right here. You see him looking down. This is the whole video. It's my reaction to it. It's only, I cut it down, so it's only, 9 minutes and 24 seconds. So you can see that right there. And that's a really good one. And by the way, all of you guys have permission to use my videos. I will never copyright strike you unless you just are taking the video and not editing at all and just re-uploading the whole thing. If you're commenting on it, or you want to use it or clip it, or you want to add elements to it or whatever, add graphics, go ahead and do it, please. I'm happy for you guys to use that as a source for any of the videos, because I want these people to be exposed. So I'm happy if you guys use those videos. Right. 200 Watt Studios said, I missed a Japan that existed when I went there between 1998 and 2009, when tourism was low and you had to know the Japanese language and culture. That is largely changed. Now, I think knowing Japanese is very important for staying there long term, but you can obviously get by short term with very minimal Japanese. Sir Gard Pebble of the Nettle Soup says, what is the situation with the idiot trying reduced mental capacity? Would South Korea even consider that as defense? No, that is not a defense for all that he has been accused of. That is not a defense, and he would be unable to prove that in Japan, in Korea. The elements are not there. I spoke to 2 lawyers about this. It's not available to him as a defense. So he cannot claim reduced capacity or insanity or, autism or whatever he wants to do. Like, no, he can't do that. Because, by the way, he was claiming he had autism at Lotte World, which he does not. He was trying to use it as a defense because he thought that was going to get him out of the situation. It was very disgusting and really an insult to real people with autism, which is not a defense, period. Okay, so one thing I want to point out here, let's go to this little tabby tab. So we have over here Johnny with the flag, right? So you have Johnny with the flag. And you see clearly the flag here, the PLA flag, right? So we're going to scroll up here on my page, and we're going to go to our good boy Hanky Poo.
You know what? Fuck this.
Okay, so here's Hanky Poo, and this is once again one of Hanky Poo's videos where he is smashing Korea. He's trash talking Korea in favor of the CCP. I want you to pay attention to the flag that's behind him.
You know what? Fuck this. That's more like it, right?
Wow. Guys, that looks really familiar. That flag and the positioning, even the cabinet, even in certain frames, you see there's a photo here. When he moves around, you'll be able to see it better. But there's a photo that matches up. It's really weird how that matches perfectly. Even the roof here, like everything, the roof tile color. Wow, it's almost like they're in the same room. It's almost like he's living with them. It's almost like he's cuddling with them. It's weird, right?
Hell yeah. 向前向前向前我们的队伍
So this is, I'm not going to play his bad singing, but this is Hank simping for the CCP here in a very embarrassing manner. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Also, some other really sad stuff, which is totally cringe. There's another video here of Hank with his baton. Now, I say this one's more relevant because Hank in Discord, let me see if this one's going to play. There you go. So Hank has said that he's going to bring weapons and he's going to confront the other streamers. So he's actually said he's going to confront the Korean streamers with weapons. So apparently he has his little baton, his little love stick here, and he waves it around and tries to act tough with it. And he claims he's going to bring the baton and smash everybody's head in, beat their brains out with this baton. By the way, he got in a fight with that baton. He was disarmed in like 15 seconds. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he brought the 3/4 kind of extending baton here. He brought that before to a fight. Someone in the chat asked, does it vibrate? Holy shit. Whoever in the chat says, does it vibrate? This is for you.
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
I fucking love you though, but you're so bad. All right. So this right here, he was disarmed in like 15 seconds by random Koreans. In fact, it was a Korean girl, I believe, who disarmed him. So, I mean, for tough fighter Hank, who says he's going to smash Dalgoon's head in, getting disarmed in 15 seconds. That's great. It's totally cringe. It's completely cringe. Yeah, he dances around with it. It's really embarrassing. I'm not going to play it. He's playing the CCP anthem, and I'm not going to forward his propaganda and filleting of that regime. But that's a big update there. I think it's very material that they are staying together. I mean, this could end up, depending on the situation they get in, where Hank, takes some liability for Johnny, and for people who come a knocking looking for Johnny, may come running into Hank because they're staying together. So it's like you find one, you find both, right? And furthermore, there's documents that are being delivered to this address, and we now know that the address where the documents are being delivered is Hank's address, right? So there's that. So Hank is getting the documents, and it's kind of funny because apparently Hank, who may be getting documents in Korean, is somehow not translating them properly or quick enough to Johnny. So, we know that Hank has received certain documents in Korean and Johnny hasn't known about it. So there may be some lovers quarrels, hopefully that baton doesn't end up in bad places. But it creates a very interesting scenario with Hank and Johnny. Very, very interesting. All right, before we get into the Japanese side, because once again, the Japanese side is related insofar as Johnny is trying to salt these guys, is trying to cause problems. And also you've got certain streamers like DBR6, the Toothless Fool, as you guys, probably know by now, trying to copycat Johnny Somali. This guy trying to copycat Johnny Somali. Well, before we get into that, let's answer these chats. Vedic Arian says, I just watched the video. Why is Goggin calling people beta when he ran away and screamed, I'm being attacked? Exactly. This is the thing. All of these people, they're just internet tough guys. They're just internet alphas, right? They want to talk smack. They want to do that. Don't say it. If you don't want to get in a fight, don't say it. And a lot of people said, well, they know they can't fight back against the Japanese. So that's why. Well, then don't threaten them. If you threaten people, they're going to respond. Don't threaten them if you can't back it up. I don't know when that became a thing, or okay, maybe that's Gen Z people. Is that a generational thing where you like just threaten people and you expect them not to do anything? Is that a Gen Z thing? I don't know, but I'm unaware. Maybe I'm too old for this shit. But you don't do that. Right? If you threaten somebody, especially after you've molested their girlfriend, you grab their girlfriend, one of the Goggin, the Japanese, streamer in Japan, kick streamer in Japan, he grabbed this girl's hand, asked her to go to a love hotel. Guy said, no, go away. He continues to bother the girl. He threatens them. He yells at them. And then they end up in a physical altercation. Calls him beta. Gabe Salgado for 2001 said, I don't know shit. I know you don't know shit, Gabe. I appreciate you, brother. See you in Seoul soon. Marcin Wazak for £2 says 50 years of hard labor for them. Indeed. Shorio for 5 says, thoughts? Ramsey Ram, aka Ramsey Khalid Ismail, face on a ram, versus his own shadow as a fighting game edit. My money's on the shadow. Cabbages are power-ups. That'd be good. Cabbages like heal you. They heal the shadow and they hurt the real version. Ryobi says, dumb question. So between Johnny Somali and Hanky Poo, which one is the long gum that gets to look stretched out? Don't you dare, Ryobi. Do not dare complain. Do not dare compare the based and completely alpha. Long. Johnny and the kick streamers, all of the kick streamers and Johnny will never have a Japanese woman look at them like the way the long man has a Japanese woman craving for him. They can never instill that amount of primal desire that the long man inspires. It's a primal desire. You ever seen a Japanese woman around food? It's don't get between them. Don't get between them. Just I'm saying, don't do it. Don't do it. King Lugia, NTR situation averted and broken. Banzai! Thank you for 6 Malaysian ringgit. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. long man's in the chat. There we go, baby. We got a lot of long mans in the chat. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Such a great thank you. You know who turned me on to that was my my based VTuber fans. They're like, have you heard of the long man? I'm like, hold up, let me get this. All right. So let's turn to the criminal complaint that has been lodged against against this guy. So this streamer, in case you don't know, this is DBR6. You see him crying here because he says in this one he was crying. He said he gets too drunk and he can't control himself or whatever. And this is his buddy here who actually kicked him out for peeing in public. So after we watched that peeing in public, the urinating in public video, he got kicked out of the room. He got kind of booted. And people wanted nothing to do with him because he, was peeing in public on stream, clearly. And he'd done it multiple times. So DBR also threw a snowball at a Japanese employee in Sapporo. He cut his lip. He was bleeding. And so a lot of people got really mad at that. Well, it turns out that this lady over here, Nana, over here on Twitter, she filed a criminal complaint, right? So she's out here outside the court here in Japan. And she said, I have submitted a criminal complaint and petition against foreign streamers. Apparently, she got a lot of signatures who are causing trouble at the snow festival. The document review will begin soon, so we will continue to work on it until it is officially accepted. So that means the police kind of haven't accepted it fully yet. But there was also media coverage. So this went out in the Japanese media. The incident was publicized. This incident has been given such wide coverage that I feel there's a great deal of public interest. So now there's a huge interest in, anti-nuisance streamer interest once again renewed in Japan after the snowball incident. Now, who is this woman who is Nana? She is, I'll explain her background. You can find it on her Twitter profile, which is Nana0504. But she is a lawyer from Waseda Faculty of Law. She's also a civil servant and a professor. So she knows about the law, so she qualifies as a Japanese lawyer. She knows about the law. She's a civil servant. Apparently, she was also very strongly engaged against Johnny Somali, which is very, very good to oppose him when he was there. So this is kind of giving people loops back to Johnny Somali, so that comparison to, DBR as the next Johnny Somali is kind of tied together with her bringing the complaint and her thinking back to Johnny Somali and seeing that. So the Japanese are getting on this. It's not just us over here in America that are getting on it. And this is a translation here from Cancel Johnny S., who is a legitimate Japanese dude. And posts a lot of good content on this and other Japanese citizen streamers. Nana Homa, the head of a political group, submitted an indictment letter with 1689 signatures of supporters to the Hokkaido police. Ms. Homa filed a crime case against kick streamer DBR6 for injury by throwing snowball at the face of Japanese staff at the festival. So, that's pretty big. 1,689 signatures. That's local signatures, I believe, too. Or Japanese signatures, whatever. So that's not even foreigners or whatever, people abroad. So there's pretty broad support there for filing it for injury by throwing that snowball. So hopefully that goes through. I think, the thing is with third-party reports, typically they're not taking as seriously as if the employee does it themselves. However, they did contact police. There is a report that was an initial incident report that was filed. And because this has a lot of public interest and because a civil servant and lawyer is on it, I think this will go a lot further than in other cases. So DBR 6 may not be free to leave Japan. He may be stopped and may be brought in sometime soon. So I'm going to look out for that, cover that. Obviously, we've seen other people like Joshua Block, the world of t-shirts getting dragged in. I think there's a general sentiment of taking these people seriously and prosecuting them, which is good. I am happy to see that Japan is done with this shit and they're no longer going to put up with their bad behavior and just let it slide. Trixie Bell became a new member. Appreciate you becoming a member of the RPG, the Replay Gang. Mercenary X21 says, morning, getting ready before work. As someone who is autistic, I cannot understand why these mentally ill individuals do this crap. No logic at all. Yeah. And so one of my members suggested doing some charity work for the Korean Autism Society, which I'm going to look into that. I'm going to see if they have a tie-in with YouTube, if they have a way for me to like hook in and donate money. That might be kind of cool. to do something and donate to real people that are suffering, not people like Johnny Somali who are cosplaying, who are pretending to be autistic, but actually people that need real support. I think that is an underserved community in Korea. So that might be something that would be useful to do. I'm going to look into it, look into the charity itself, look into the percentage that goes to administration versus that goes to actual programs and actual, using on the people that need it. But after I do my due diligence, that may be something I do in the future. Monaco Speed says, with dim-witted people like Somali and his cohorts on this planet, if I was abducted by aliens, I considered a rescue mission. Thank you for that 500 yen, Monaco Speed. Arigato gozaimasu. Sailor Moon, as a new member, thank you, Sailor Moon. Appreciate that. Become a member of the RPG. And Mercenary says, is mentally ill or demonic possession? Can it be both? Can it be both? It doesn't one lead to the other? All right. So the last thing I had today was to talk, to do a little review. This is kind of more of a fun one of this infographic show. So this has gotten a lot of views, actually, like over 100, 150K almost. So they created an infographic about Johnny Somali. So I'm in this. So I want to review this because I think this is kind of funny and it's kind of cute to be in an infographic. But some of the information is kind of out of order and not correct. So I want to do like some minor corrections as we go. But it'd be a little nice part to end cap this in a fun way, kind of bring some fun and levity to this. I actually like the infographics. Like maybe I don't always watch this channel, but the infographic type videos, I do watch those sometimes, particularly if I need something to put on in the background while I'm doing work or while I'm cleaning or doing something else. So I think it'll be fun to go through it and talk about it. And it's titled "Why This American Streamer is Facing Prison in South Korea." It's by the Infographic Show, which has 14 million subscribers. So it's a pretty big thing. So we're gonna do that. I'll get this membership first. Lord Predator 413 became a new member of the RPG. So welcome. Thank you for that. Yes. We've now hit for this officially 86 new members in the stream. That is so awesome. Thank you guys. All right, let's start here.
Could you be such a bad tourist that you ended up in prison? Well,
yes, many tourists end up in prison, actually. Fun fact. I would say that if you mess around abroad, you are very likely to go to jail if you start to get violent, if you start to break serious laws in that country or things that are central to their culture, you are likely to go to jail. But speaking of criminals, Mazrova Palma dropping what should be a criminal. It almost constitutes as money laundering here. 1,000 Czech krona. Thank you so much for the big boy, the Akasupa, saying, as an unapologetic autist, we do know what is right and wrong. Using not be able to read the social cues correctly as an excuse for bad behavior is just being a dick. We can be awkward, but it is just idiotic and it can harm people that actually help. I agree with that exactly. And I don't see people that are autistic using that excuse in the same way and fashion that Johnny does. It's the way that Johnny uses it is like using your biographic information as a sword or a shield, right? So saying, I'm this, therefore I can say whatever I want and you can't criticize me. So for example, if I said, oh, well, I'm obese. And so because I am obese, you're fat phobic. You can't say anything about me. I can say whatever I want because, you're fat phobic. So I get to say what I want because I'm in the special category. Or, I'm 1/4 Jovian, right? And because my background is Jovian and we're an ethnic minority, I can say what I want and you can't say anything about me. Well, like, once again, Johnny tried to use autism in that way. He tried to say, I am autistic and therefore you can't send me to jail and I can do whatever I want and I can get away with this. I don't see people that actually have those conditions or even similar conditions making those sort of assumptions. It's a disservice and it's being an asshole. And Johnny Somali is being an asshole. So I would absolutely agree with them. Dave for 10. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you for all the support, guys. Yes. Nene Escobar with 1999 says, as an autistic person, I can confidently say Ramzi Khalid Ismail does not meet the criteria for autism spectrum disorder. The spectrum does not and never will go low enough to include his low level of it. I'm playing the clip. When you say low level of intelligence,
Fighting monkey とかさ。
I mean, and that's based on IQ. That's based on IQ, okay? Just IQ, right? Bad News Badger, DKK50 says, you only like the infographics because it reminds you of PP. PP. Wait, what? I like infographic shows because I think they're cute. They're very cute. I think they're funny. PowerPoint. I was like, what is PP? whose PP are we talking about? Are we talking about, this is getting weird. No, PowerPoint. Yes, it's PowerPoint. LCPL Anime Guy says, for 5, these people make me want to make an international anti-annoying streamer league with Western volunteers to make these guys leave the country. Well, that's pretty much what I've done. LCPL, what you don't see, and let me just be very clear. This is something you guys can understand. The team that's helping me in Korea is international. We have Koreans, native Koreans. We have Kyopo, which are Koreans that are abroad. We have people that are Koreans that have also, they know English better. Maybe they studied abroad. Maybe they lived in other countries like Japan or UK or Australia or New Zealand. They lived abroad for a while. They came back. We have expats that live in Korea that are actively in Korea. Like my good friend, the Dr. Ulrich, who lives there. He's got a Korean wife. You know, he's in Korea and he knows all about Korean culture. He can tell you about the Goryeo period, the Shia, everything, right? The Goryeo, like everything. He can tell all the history of Korea, right? Baekje, all that stuff. You know, so there's people that love Korea that have been there for a long time. There's people that are new. There's international school students. Shout out to my international school students that are do a shout out. There's even a girl that did a presentation in her school about Johnny Somali and the consequences for social media. This is an international alliance of people from around the world. And there's all of you guys that many of you never have been to Korea, but you're opposed to this sort of behavior, even though you've never been there. Everybody is united in this alliance to take this guy down. This is where Johnny Somali, he fucked around and he found out. We're already demonetized, so I can just say it now, right? I'm going to play the Asman clip here because it's kind of.
I'm not sorry, and I did nothing wrong.
He fucked around and he found out, right? And he messed with things that pissed off people around the world, which is why this became so crazy. This would be a great movie. I mean, imagine the movie that would come off of it. It'd be great. Alex is a new member. Appreciate that. Of the BLM too, the highest level. Thanks. Yes. Inora Yuzahara says they say aura from Ramsey and Hank is so strong that I could smell beta soybean whenever they were on the screen. It's true. All right, let's continue.
Just ask Johnny Somali. This controversial streamer went from 50,000 followers across several platforms to facing up to 22 years in prison in South Korea. But that's not all. It's not just the law that's after him. Somali has content creators chasing him across an entire country. How did that happen?
More than one country, too. Actually, there's people that have followed him for several.
Today on the Infographic Show, we're going to explain how and why an American streamer is now facing prison time in South Korea. Born Ramsey Khalid Ismail in 2000.
They said it right. I do love that they said it right. Hold on, let's say it one more time. Let me rewind that. Hold on. Rewind that.
Now facing prison time in South Korea. Born Ramsey Khalid Ismail in 2000.
Ramsey Khalid Ismail. Say his name.
2000. Johnny Somali was born.
Oh, someone asked the question, Danny Askir for Seep. I got it right this time, bro. The South Korean international student referred to as a TED Talk. Yeah, she did a TED Talk. Very young girl, very nice. She did the problem with Johnny Somali. Although I would disagree with some of her conclusions. One of her conclusions was on the TED Talk that young people are going to copy Johnny Somali and it's going to be like monkey see, monkey do, and everyone's going to do it. I think that there's certain people that will do it that way, but they'll get stopped. And like DBR, they have consequences. And what's more important is to set the consequences and punishments for those people when they act out with those behaviors. So I think you can't just ignore stuff and hope it goes away. So like it was a good TED Talk, but one of her conclusions was like, oh, well, we should just, if we ignore it. And I'm like, well, no, if we ignored it, he would never have been charged in the first place. He'd be allowed to completely get away with it. So do you want him to just get away with it? Like there's a chicken and an egg thing. You gotta start going after him. But it was interesting because, when international schools are doing stuff as TED Talks, it's gotten out there.
born and raised in Arizona. Like many young people, he decided to break into the world of online streaming. But would he share fun and educational content, recipes, maybe original and groundbreaking comedy routines? Not a chance.
And once again, Johnny Somali tried to say that this was the only way for him to get popular, which is complete bullshit. It's absolutely not true.
Instead, Johnny chose one of the most controversial corners of the internet, nuisance streaming. If you've never heard of nuisance streaming, count yourself lucky. It's as chaotic as it sounds. For Johnny Somali, it meant jet-setting around the globe while doubling down on every cringe-worthy stereotype about American tourists and vloggers. He would try to instigate fights, disrespect local cultures, insult people, berate people on the street, basically anything he could do to get a reaction from people he encountered. And then
the lines they're using are the tame ones. See, it's kind of funny because like it's like, bro, did you forget your kung fu? I'm Korean, bro. Like this is like mild. This is like the mild sauce. I mean, he was running around yelling Hiroshima, Nagasaki in Japan. So
would film the responses to create, quote, content. If you're wondering who does something like that, the answer is a surprising amount of people on YouTube and Johnny Somali. The streamer himself once stated, "I have no morals, I am a sociopath." At least he gets points for self-awareness. In another video, he stated that the reason he is racist to people in other countries is simple: for money. As you might expect, Johnny Somali isn't exactly winning popularity contests online, thanks to some truly horrible, unbelievable behavior that we'll get to soon. But is all of this sociopathic grind even paying off for Somali financially? Let's be honest, annoying a lot of people very quickly isn't exactly a great skill to put on a resume. So he better be making bank right now. Before he landed in legal trouble in South Korea, Somali had managed to amass a low to mid five-figure following across Instagram, TikTok, and Rumble.
So a little context here to add context to this video. So essentially, he was making money. So I can't pretend that he wasn't. From what I understand from Fab and other folks who are on the inside of this, when he would stream nuisance stuff, when he would be really annoying, he would actually make it a decent amount, right? So maybe make like 500 or $1,000 when he's being at his peak annoying. But when he wasn't, when it was just him walking around, whatever, maybe he'd make $100 or something like that, right? So he wasn't making like, thousands and thousands, but he could make a decent chunk of change when he was being at his most annoying self. So that was Johnny's, kind of shtick there.
What's Rumble? Well, think of it as the streaming platform.
Oh, and by the way, so they I'll back up here. So they're saying he streamed on TikTok, Instagram, and Rumble. This is not true because they're trying to say that this is what he was streaming on when he was caught. He was originally streaming on YouTube and Kick more than these other platforms. He wasn't on Rumble until after he got in trouble. Rumble was a backup. Really, he used it in certain circumstances, and he did use it later on. But originally, especially before Japan Part 1, he wasn't just on Rumble, right? Originally, YouTube, and then it got kicked off YouTube. Kick got kicked off the Kick, and then so forth, right?
TikTok, and Rumble. What's Rumble? Well, think of it as the streaming platform for people who have overstayed their welcome everywhere else. Known for its more relaxed rules compared to Twitch, it is the last stop for creators with, well, let's just say,
not inaccurate,
unique approaches to content. Twitch did ban Johnny along with streaming service Kick as of May 2024. In fact, Kick has been banning him off and on for years now. But this one seems pretty permanent.
It's permanent. Everybody I've talked to at Kick, including people that have talked to Eddie, owner of Kick, they've all said, yeah, it's permanent. He's not coming back.
Kick banned Somali for making death threats during his streams and promoting violent behavior. A friendly reminder that death threats are usually not covered by freedom of speech. It seems sad.
Correct. That is very correct. So people yelling, screaming freedom of speech, and that was actually Johnny and Hank, by the way, who both scream about being freedom of speech absolutists, but by the way, are now praising China. I'll let you guys think how logical praising China when you love free speech is. A death threat is not free speech. Defamation, also not free speech.
Travel to other countries and aggravate people just to scrape together a following. And yet, as of October 2024, he's only sitting at 16,000 Instagram followers and 20,700 YouTube subscribers. Talk about a low return on investment. There are creators out there racking up way more followers without even leaving their kitchen, just baking cakes and making people smile. Others make in-depth animated videos about crazy historical events and shocking military facts. You know, things people actually enjoy watching. And he is now banned on YouTube as well, a platform that has happily hosted the Paul brothers for over a decade now. Which makes us wonder, how bad was Johnny Somali's content? His antics have earned him bans, fines, and plenty of disdain from multiple countries, but his behavior in South Korea has taken things to a whole new level. This time he's not just facing backlash, he is staring down the real possibility of prison time. See, Somali...
Correct. This is correct. So far, does he have the possibility? Yes, he does have the possibility of it. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Real quick here, Alex for 20 Canadian said, I became legitimately worried as someone who spent summers in Japan when it was at its peak. I was almost paranoid about my behavior and how I presented myself, though I've been told by friends not to worry about it. The problem is Johnny makes everybody worry. And a lot of tourists that love Japan and want to come, this is a time when Japan is at its most popular. And these assholes, and I don't hold back from calling them assholes. They are ruining Japan for everybody. They're ruining Japan for everybody who has never been there, wants to see it, who wants to enjoy it. And they're ruining the impression of foreigners. Right, even in Japan, it's inevitably going to decline because of people like that. They're just not going to think that everybody is good anymore, and the presumption is going to go the other way eventually with enough of these people screwing around. Lewis Cowley says after his prison sentence, sent him to Detroit. Rarobi said if Pakistan was real, I would send these nuisance streamers there. They wouldn't last long. They wouldn't survive the Pipikins. Sussex Bunny says, where can we find that channel? I'll see if I can post it maybe in a link below, because it's not, you can't search it directly. So I'll see if I can get that one pulled up for you. Asian Dragon 456 for 499 says, even if he F's around, I see all the time Ramzi Khalid Ismail will never change, even if he does. Even he does not know what the word forgiveness means. Yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't. You can't forgive that.
Decided to visit Korea in the autumn of 2024, while other tourists flock to see temples, experience Seoul's nightlife and K-pop scene, or eat the great local food. Somali,
all of which are very nice. Byunggung. You can, if you go to, like, for example, Bongungsa Temple, it's right in the middle of Seoul. And you can go to COEX in the same day. So you can do shopping, you can eat really good food, and then you can go to a temple, and then you can head up somewhere if you want to see like K-pop or whatever. You can head to Cheongdam and see the some of the big buildings where the agencies are, or you can go to a club or a bar where they play K-pop and kind of hang out there. So yeah, it's a really good place. I recommend it. I love spending time in Korea, and I plan on spending time in Korea for the rest of my life out here. Right, the percentage of that may change. Maybe it'll be, a month a year, 2 months a year, maybe a couple weeks. But I'll always be in Korea. I love it. It's got a special place in my heart. It really does.
Instead, decided to sexually harass statues and
correct
to get beaten up a lot. That's not what TripAdvisor normally recommends. But let's get to the why. The first of many things that annoyed the locals was when he twerked on the Statue of Peace in Seoul.
It was one of the first things. I guess it was the biggest thing, but it wasn't the only thing. He was making rude comments to people before then. He was harassing people, but this was the one that got the most mass media attention, right? So you could say this is like the biggest one. It wasn't necessarily the first, but it was definitely the thing that lit the fire, was the twerking on the statue and doing the Diddy dance with oil and everything else.
Otherwise known as the Comfort Woman statue. It was built in remembrance of the women forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese military when it occupied the country from 1910 to 1945. This is a deeply tragic chapter in Korea's history, one that continues to cast long shadows. For many residents, it's not just history, it is personal. With the pain.
These people are still alive today. The Comfort Women are still alive. You can, obviously I would approach that issue with utmost of respect. You can see them. They're there. I think it was Johnny Somali who said, I want to apologize to them. And all the Koreans were like, you're not going anywhere near these people because you're insincere, you're disgusting, and we're not going to even presumptively allow that. Like, they're going to, nowhere near. But many of them are still alive. Still alive to this day. They're very old, very, very old, but they're still alive.
Pain directly affecting their families. So clearly, Somali thought the most appropriate thing to do with a statue honoring victims of wartime sexual assault would be to kiss it. As if that wasn't enough, he then gave the statue an overly long lap dance in full view of many South Koreans walking by. Other accounts say he waved a drawing of the Japanese Imperial Rising Sun flag, all while doing this. You know, the flag of the power that forced these women into sex slavery way back when. It's different from the current Japanese flag, and many individuals.
That's an important note, right? So it's different than the current flag as it goes. Bob says, would an alternative for lawmakers, and instead of wasting manpower and resources, finding the businesses like Kick for each instance for nuisance streaming, with the ultimate penalty being getting banned from operating? Might be hard to enforce, but they could try to do it. I think they could, but the problem is, where would you find them? You would find them where they're incorporated usually. So if Kick is incorporated in the US, then you'd find them in the US, right? Rumble is a Canadian company, so you'd have to go after them in Canada, right, etc. So, and they would claim that, hey, we're not responsible, XYZ, we have immunity. So it's harder to go after the platform. It's easier to go after the streamers themselves. The other thing that happens, and the reason why the platforms are really afraid of this, is actually not the law. It's not the government. Why the platforms remove people like Johnny Somali is because of advertisers. All of these platforms make money on advertisement. If you have an issue with your advertisers, you're going to lose a massive amount of money on your platform. You're going to massively drop. That's the adpocalypse that happened back on YouTube. And on Twitch, you saw a mini adpocalypse kind of happen in related to what was happening with the anti-Semitism, with the Arab racial tier list and Hassan and all that good stuff. That kind of happened over there on Twitch. So these sort of things are big for advertisers, and they will drop them. X had that issue with people calling him a Nazi, whatever else, and slandering him. Of course, I believe he's suing them back now, Elon. But that affects your advertising, affects your bottom line, affects your revenue big time. And at the end of the day, corporations are interested in their revenue. I know that because that's who I work for. Right? I worked for corporations for years. They really want to know, is this going to affect our bottom line? And to be honest, if it's the government calling and your biggest financial supporter, honestly, most companies listen to their biggest financial supporter more than they listen to the government. If it's the biggest financial supporter, they'll say, yes, sir, we'll do it right away and do it exactly how they want. If it's the government, they'll say, well, can we bend this? Can we get around this? Can we grease this? Can we bribe this? They'll try to, go around it that way. So I think people in corporations specifically often fear the money side more than they do the law, which is sad. But I'm telling you guys the truth, because this is this is legal mindset. We say it how it is. We don't say it. We don't say it any other way, but how it actually happens.
Individuals and nations that suffered under the old Japanese regime view it as a painful symbol, arguing that it should be banned entirely. South Koreans viewed this behavior as disrespectful of their history and national tragedy, because that is absolutely what it was. Even YouTube had had enough of him and decided to ban him on October 28, 2024. Johnny Somali managed to put a video out through another platform and apologized for his actions. But most people who were familiar with his...
He's not getting back on YouTube either. That ain't happening. NZ said government is the cost of business, ads is the profits. Yes, indeed. Also, NZ, you got me in trouble last stream. Still love you though.
Behaviors were skeptical of his apology, and the streaming community in South Korea, they were mad. A popular South Korean streamer named Yu Dao-gyun, who also...
So I will say, to be fair, and I like Dao-gyun, I interviewed him, he's a good guy. He's got a small channel. He didn't even have a channel before this. So he's not what I would call a popular streamer. He's a very small streamer in Korea. He's actually very, very small. The biggest streamer of the streamer bunch that I interviewed is actually J Company, because he covers a lot of political issues, etc., and he covers a lot of bigger issues in Korea. He's got the biggest channel. He's got the most active channel, the most followers. Dao-gyun didn't have a channel before this. He wasn't really a YouTuber. And now he's, kind of finding his way in YouTube. I think he's got a couple hundred viewers every time he pops up in a stream, which isn't bad, but it's a smaller streamer size, right? It's not 1,000 people or 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 like Asmongold, right? It's a decent amount, right? To me, my goal was always to have around 1,000. So having 2,600 of you right now is awesome. I love it. It's great. I feel blessed every day to do this, but he just started out. In fact, this video of him punching him didn't even really go on, I think, his channel at first. It went on a different channel. The information leaked on a different channel, but he is popular with us, and he is a cool guy, and he's popular with me. I like him.
Also happens to be an ex-underwater demolition team, or
UDT. So which is the equivalent of the Navy SEALs. It's like the Korean SEALs.
T soldier found Somali and punched him. During a live stream by Somali, police officers arrested you, likely because the whole thing was recorded on camera, so they...
Well, the police officers were literally right there. The police officers saw him punch Somali. So yes, and he knew he was going to get arrested when he did it. He knew.
had to. But a lot of South Koreans online felt that Somali got what he deserved.
Correct.
You may not think so yet, but wait until you hear everything Somali has done. You, perhaps understandably, is not the only South Korean to have confronted Somali, and it's not hard to see why. Somali and one of his frequent streaming companions, Gino, had...
Why did they make Gino look like Michael Jackson? Like, is it just me, or does Gino look like Michael Jackson in this? This definitely is a Michael Jackson look, like a dark Michael Jackson. I mean, it's a little weird, and he's got the creepy smile. It's just weird. Mercenary says Johnny and ILK, maybe say IRL, why we can't have nice things anymore. It's true. Asian Dragon 456 for 499 says once the law changes, it'll be hard to forgive a criminal for using Johnny Somali effect. And when I use the word Johnny Somali effect, what I mean is Johnny Somali has made it worse for everybody else. A lot of streamers, particularly I think the kick streamers, they get a little mad because they say, well, why do you say Johnny Somali effect? It's like you're comparing him to us. No, that's not what it is. Even if you guys are innocent, even if they do nothing, they are affected by the legacy of Johnny Somali. That's the Johnny Somali effect. Even innocent people, even for example, people trying to stream in Japan that are innocent, that are not even publicly streaming. Maybe they're just recording video for themselves. They're looked at suspiciously because of Johnny Somali sometimes, right? And that is a Johnny Somali effect. For better or for worse, it is what it is. It's happening. You can't deny it. It's like gravity, right? It exists. And it's going to be a long time before it goes away, if it ever goes away. Fat Factor for 5 says, I think we'll probably start calling Johnny Somali the other spiraling sexy red stunt double, especially given the CP allegations. Oof. Mercenary said, no, I said, ilk, his ilk. Sorry. I'm going to play the clip. I couldn't read. So we let's see, which one should I do? Let's do this.
Look, here's the thing.
Fine. Listen,
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
I'm sorry. Let me excuse you. Let's continue with this.
Had a habit of strolling through Seoul, sexually harassing women, and making racist remarks to locals.
He literally said he wanted to lick a woman, and I'll just leave it there where the licking was going to occur. But Gino was fucking nasty. He was smart. The only smart thing he did was leaving Korea before he was arrested too, because Gino was going to be investigated as well. He took off beforehand, so he got lucky. Gino got lucky.
Sometimes both at the same time. In one video, Gino called out a nearby woman that he was going to perform sex acts on her. Now, to be fair, South Korea isn't the only country that thinks Somali has a punchable face. Before the trip, the streamer spent a lot of time in Japan getting hit as well. And though we don't condone violence here at the Infographic Show, honestly, it's easy to see why. For one thing, he walked around...
Yes, see, this is exactly my point. And I endorse this statement. I cannot officially condone violence. However, I see why. I understand exactly why people make those decisions, right?
Tokyo Disneyland shouting Fukushima, atomic bomb, Shinzo Abe, referring respectively to a horrific nuclear disaster, a deadly bombing that killed over 214,000 of their countrymen, and the assassination of their prime minister. To top it all off, he shocked a passerby at the amusement park by blasting music about the atomic bombings of Japan, a Spotify genre that the world absolutely does not need. That's a day out the kids will remember for all the wrong reasons. Somali figured he'd top it all off by boarding a train and yelling, "We're gonna drop another atomic bomb," at fellow passengers.
He also confronted on that same train. Let's go back up there for a second. On that same train, he confronted people and he was yelling and harassing people while riding the metro. That was a crime as well, but he was not prosecuted for that, right? So there's crimes that were committed on that metro that could have been gone. They could have gone further with what he did on the metro.
By boarding a train and yelling, "We're gonna drop another atomic bomb," at fellow passengers. Because joking about a nuclear apocalypse just wasn't funny enough, Somali also broke into some construction sites and got in a truck that belonged to a private delivery firm to pull some kind of stunt.
He was eating a watermelon, by the way, in that truck. Let's not forget that. Also, he was trespassing, which is clearly illegal. And that one, because it's so easy to prove and they had it on camera, that's the one they originally went hardcore after him with in Japan, because trespassing in that construction site was very clear.
This eventually got him arrested for trespassing.
Guys, we're almost at 1,000 likes. Please, let's hit it. We're so close. We're so close. We only got 140 to 1,000. Please like the video. It'll make my day if we get to 1,000. Thank you. Thank you.
To the relief and glee of Japanese people everywhere, he was fined 200,000 yen, or approximately $1,300, for trespassing and disrupting business. We wonder if his hilarious videos threatening people with nuclear disaster made more money than he spent on the travels and fines after all. Anyway, it's good to know that despite Japan and South Korea's history with each other, both countries can agree that Johnny Somali is the worst and should be arrested whenever possible. The legal trouble in Japan really made Somali stop and think about the consequences of his actions. Actually, no, that's not what happened at all.
And this is the problem. The problem is he didn't learn anything from Japan because the Japanese punishment was relatively light, which is the whole argument in Korea. Is that if you don't give this guy something serious enough, I mean, I'm talking about a year in actual prison, 6 months in prison, a year in prison, 2 years in prison, 5 years in prison, 3 years in prison, some real time, really, where he's got to think about his consequences. He's locked away. He doesn't have his cuddle buddy, Hank. He doesn't have his creature comforts or whatever else. He doesn't have his Discord, right? You can't have, his hug box Discord where they're all telling him he's the best thing since sliced bread and they're gassing him up and filleting him. When he doesn't have those folks, and he's actually left to reflect on the sad sack that is his life, the unhappy person he is, the miserable, unloved person he is. I think that'll actually do some good for him, and maybe he'll turn his life around. But if he's just given a slap on the wrist and a fine and leaves the country, he's emboldened to do way worse in the future, far worse.
After he paid his fine, he went back home and he laughed about how he lied to the judge and the prosecutor in Japan while in court. Apparently, his biggest lie was telling the judicial system that he doesn't make money from his videos.
Yes, and also there was a bunch of lies about the apology, because afterwards he kind of recanted that. So there's a lot of stuff there that he lied about into the judge. So he made multiple misrepresentations to that judge.
It's not just Asia that has an issue with Somali, though. He got detained in Israel after repeatedly making derogatory comments to a female officer at a protest.
He also, and this is something they left out of this, and I know why, because they're afraid to put it in the video, because saying this name is like saying, Bloody Mary, like it immediately demonetizes you. But because you guys hit the goal today, we can just demonetize ourselves, because it's worth saying, because you guys said that you hit the goal and I follow through. You guys hit the goal, your boy follows through. All right. He mentioned Weinstein, Epstein, and who was the third one? It was Weinstein, Epstein, and someone else, right? But those, and he put the names of Harvey Weinstein and Epstein in the Wailing Wall, the most sacred site of, Judaism. Was it Aiden Ross? Yeah, it was Aiden Ross. Sorry, Aiden Ross too. Yeah, sorry. Aiden Ross. It was Aiden Ross, Weinstein, and Epstein. Was it P. Diddy too? The Diddler? Did he get the Diddler in there too? I think it was definitely Aiden Ross though. So anyways, Weinstein and Epstein are the two, which those are the names that get you in trouble, right? Especially the Epstein. You say the word Epstein, and it's like, I've said it like 6 times now. We're demonetized for sure. But yeah, he put it in there and they went and questioned what he put in there. And they went and, got it and saw that he put Epstein in there. It was a big, big, big thing. Huge. I mean, that's extraordinarily sacrilegious, right? And with the attention he put that in there to be controversial in the Wailing Wall. Fucked up. Really messed up. Disgusting behavior.
Protest. To the surprise of no one over the age of 3, this didn't go over well. In fact, after another one of his trolling escapades in Israel, Somali was jumped and mugged in the street. Somali had made the bold and baffling choice.
I'm very surprised he wasn't shot in Israel. I'm going to be honest. I was actually expecting, I was half expecting that to happen at some point.
Troll and pick his fights in not 1 but 2 countries with mandatory military service. That means he's been antagonizing people who know how to defend themselves, yet somehow he's managed to escape the chaos relatively unscathed. But this time in South Korea, he has crossed the line so badly that he may not have any way out. the incident that tipped the scales for Somali.
By the way, the server here, they showed as a young woman, it was an older person. So there was an older man and an older woman in the store. I believe it was a 7-Eleven, right? So in the 7-Eleven, the Pyeongcham, it was older man and woman.
Happened on October 17th, 2024. He stopped at a South Korean convenience store and drank alcohol in the store, an act that wasn't allowed. When an employee asked him to stop drinking, he responded by lashing out at him. Then, as if being horrible to service workers wasn't good enough, he dumped noodle soup on the table and then started throwing food at people passing.
And he cursed at the person as well. So he cursed at the staff, throwed stuff, acted like a fool because he was told not to do that.
Outside the store. The store employee once again reminded him that throwing food at people is, well, generally unacceptable at this stage of evolution.
Which is obstruction of business. And that district he was in, Hongdae, has a 0 tolerance for obstruction of business.
But Somali responded by using abusive and vulgar language. This triggered a call for South Korean streamers to track him down in Seoul and record any more of his disruptive or illegal behavior.
That was Bang TV, who I interviewed, who was first on the track. Bang TV, J Company, and Dalgun, right? Bang TV was probably doing it for the longest.
More importantly, it also launched an investigation into Somali by Seoul Mapo Police Station. However, the police ended up getting a hold of him in a very strange way. Somali was once again live streaming one Sunday in November when a masked individual ran up and attacked him. The police arrested.
It wasn't Dalgun. It was that one where they initially took him in was not Dalgun. It was another person. So they used the Dalgun animation, but it wasn't Dalgun. So that's an inaccuracy there.
His attacker. Then they took Somali into custody for his own protection. As a person who loves to choose the worst possible option at all times, Somali's response was to start drinking soju, a type of Korean liquor, in the back of the car while antagonizing the police officers.
We covered that. We covered this on this channel, how he was drinking in the back, shit-talking the police, disrespecting the justice system. He lied to police multiple times, right? So this is a big one for subverting the justice system and not really caring about what the police have to say.
He's on video saying, "We're in the back of a police car. Come and get us. Come and get us." The police clearly heard him because a short while later, they did, in fact, come and get him, specifically for obstruction of business and alleged drug use.
Yes. So originally, the charge was obstruction of business, right? So that was the original one. They were suspecting him of drug use. At this point, he's clearly been cleared of that. They would have charged it already if they had it. But you're allowed to hold people for that purpose. And I think that was one of the ones where they were bringing it in to check, and then now they're going forward with obstruction.
Because of the drug charges, he is not allowed to leave the country while he awaits his trial.
And it's not just the drug charges. It was also the drug charges were an element of it, but it's because of his many crimes, right? So the drug charges were part of it, but it was multiple things. So the travel ban was because of how bad he was in general. It wasn't just because of drugs. It was one drug charge might not necessarily be the thing that tips you over, but because he had all of these things together and all these reports, which they saw, even if they don't go forward with him, they saw, okay, we have a volume on this guy. Okay, we gotta travel ban him because we're gonna have to look into this.
Drug charges are taken very seriously in a lot of Asian countries, and South Korea is no exception. Somali's passport has been taken, but he is no longer...
He has the emergency. I believe he may have an emergency passport, but once again, he can't leave. It doesn't matter whether he even has his passport. Even if he has his full passport back, that doesn't allow him to leave. The travel ban is in the system. Korea is completely electronic. He can't leave.
In custody, although he does have to stay in the country on his dime until his trial date, while half of South Korea is out looking for him to either film or punch him. Though the U.S. Embassy could try to help, they've shown
they won't. U.S. Embassy won't do shit. As seen in the case of World of T-Shirts, Josh Block over there in Korea, who tried to call the embassy to save him. The embassy is not going to bail you out. The embassy is not going to come out and save you. They're not going to send in, the special agents, Mission Impossible to come save you. They're going to refer you to a local attorney, and that's about it. And you have to pay for them. You have to pay for the attorney. They're not even paying your bill. They're not doing anything to get you out. Do not think the U.S. Embassy is going to bail you out when you get in trouble abroad. That is a very big misunderstanding for U.S. citizens. A huge one. They're not going to save you. Sorry.
shown very little interest in entering a diplomatic dispute with South Korea to get the streamer sent to American shores.
Also, welcome all the raiders from wherever you're raiding from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Appreciate y'all coming in. It doesn't give me notices here. That's what I don't like about YouTube, is the notice doesn't always come through. But welcome to everybody who's raiding. Appreciate y'all. Welcome. Oh, it's X-Ray Girls Raiders? X-Ray Girl. Let's appreciate you. X-Ray Girl Raiders and X-Ray Girl. Appreciate you. Love you. Real quick, Death the Goat for 50 Swedish krona says, explain citizens arrest in Korea and Japan. How much force can I use before it becomes a crime? You're not allowed to like beat them up. Okay. So if in Korea you can't grab somebody and like punch them in the face and call it citizens arrest. No, you can, pull them, bear hug them in, hold them down while police get there, right? That sort of thing. Right? You can't sit there and punch them in the face repeatedly and say, oh, citizens arrest, citizens arrest. That's not going to work. You're assaulting them, right? So, don't do that, right? But if you see them committing a crime, that's when citizens arrest comes in. I would leave it to Japanese citizens. As a tourist, generally, I would recommend you leave the actions to the locals, because the police will take kinder to that and will punish them more severely if the locals get involved than if you do. That's my 2 cents. Michael Schmidt for 10 says, Gruß aus Deutschland und alle Fans. Greetings from Deutschland and to all fans. He needs a long time in prison. They will love him. Oh, they will love him. Long time, if you know what I mean. Vielen Dank, Michael Schmidt. I hope you're doing well there in Deutschland. Janine Sueco Terry for $4.99 says, has anyone heard from his parents about this behavior? I wonder if he will go to trial. Apparently, his father is disgusted, but I mean, he's been acting like he's fatherless, so I think that relationship is not great. And I think his mother is covertly supporting him. I think she's maybe mad, but she's supporting him. I mean, I don't think she's completely cut him off. It's a rough situation when you have a really bad kid, and I'm empathetic to that, but yeah, it's bad. Same thing with Hanky Pank. His Hanky Poo is what's called a silver spoon. He's a very spoiled Korean child whose mother provides everything because he doesn't have a job. He doesn't do anything. So he's a little, man child who's never worked a day in his life. And he's in his 30s or something. I don't know. So they're both kind of being subsidized there on some level. Japanese Demon Lord Abari Lewis for 5 says, I'm coming in late. What I miss? How you doing, Andrew? I'm doing great. Catch up.
Again, as far as they're concerned, Seoul can keep him. The embassy will make sure he has legal representation, but they'd rather not really get involved. Besides that, in South Korea, political pressure has been mounting to take action against Somali, who spent over a month broadcasting his disrespect, verbal abuse, and outright mistreatment of locals to a global audience. This frustration isn't new. Residents in both Japan and South Korea have grown increasingly fed up with tourists who visit only to disregard their customs and show blatant disrespect to the local people. Online channels in South Korea have labeled Somali as an example of the worst, disrespectful tourist imaginable. Many are calling on the government to make an example of him, hoping it'll deter other visitors from engaging in disruptive, offensive, or even criminal behavior.
I agree with that completely. This needs to be deterrent. People need to be deterred from doing this. If we do not stop this here, more people will do this. And we've seen, I was saying this months ago. I was saying this in December. And people were saying, no, it's just Somali. It's just Somali. Look at Josh Block. Look at DBR. And say with a straight face to me that they're not doing similar shit. And sometimes people are saying that DBR, the guy with the snowball, is actually worse because he hit people. And Goggin, the guy in the bar who got beat up by the Japanese guys, he's worse because he touched the women. And Johnny Somali, although he did sometimes touch people, but not often. It was very rare. Rarely. He would sometimes get up in people's face and that kind of, there's a little bit of touching. I mean, there's some shoving. Usually Gino or somebody else be the one to do the shoving, or Hank, right? There were some physical things that went on. But generally, Johnny, because he's small, he's a shrimp, he didn't engage in physical altercations because he would lose. He would lose against a small child. A small female child. So because of that, Johnny typically didn't physically hit people or punch people, right? Versus some of the other streamers that get a little more physical, at least with a snowball incident. So some people are saying that's worse, right? 5'2". Yeah, very, very, very small man. Very small man. So yeah, it is something that needs to be stopped, because if it's not stopped here, then it will continue, and people will continue to come to Korea and Japan, and they'll do these things over and over again for clout and money, period.
But that is not all Somali is guilty of. A whole lot of charges are coming down the pipeline, and there seems to be a new one every week. As he awaits trial in South Korea, more and more information is leaking out about everything Somali did while he was in the country, and continues to do, even after his arrest, like playing North Korean music on South Korean buses.
Which can be a crime. Now, they haven't charged him with that, but once again, just because something hasn't been charged doesn't mean it could be a crime if they decide to pursue that. They have the option to. Whether they do it or not is up to the prosecutors. And I don't control the prosecutors. Nobody does, right? But it is technically a crime. And, you know, whether or not they decide to pursue it is up to them. But he's got a lot of stuff on the table. We've gone through it.
For those who aren't aware, North and South Korea, well, they have a difficult history, and this move wasn't appreciated by his fellow passengers. If at this point you're thinking, okay, but being annoying isn't illegal, well, that depends on how annoying you get. Every country has different laws, and many East Asian countries, including South Korea, have stricter laws regarding public decorum and behavior. For instance, South Korea has a law called the National Security Act, which makes it a crime to promote, propagate, or otherwise disseminate North Korean propaganda. Correct. While such behavior might be encouraged just across the border, it is deeply frowned upon in South Korea.
Correct.
So Somali has managed to break that law as well. Legal experts like online streamer and lawyer Legal Mindset.
What? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is that guy? What? Does that even look the same? Does that even line up? Do I even do the O-face? I think I don't know if it. That's not even a proper O-face. Mindset's in the chat. Our boy. Although I don't think they got the suit correctly here. And also, I want to be very clear. I don't use a boom mic. I don't have a boom mic. I use a stand, a nice shiny stand. Right. This one actually doesn't have my XLR connection broke. So this is even using not even XLR. So man, it's like twinsies, right? Twinsies, right? Totally twinsies. Failed to see the difference. Yes. No nose. Oh yeah, no nose. Yes. I need a VTuber model. Yes, my official VTuber model, guys. My official VTuber model. Totally 1 for 1. It's so funny. Okay, let me rewind it there. Because I'll broke the narrative.
Say that as well. Legal experts like online streamer and lawyer Legal Mindset say that most prosecutors wouldn't bother with such a charge if someone played North Korean propaganda once as a joke.
Correct.
But Somali has played it in so many places in Seoul, so
yeah, first of all, that I guess that they're trying to make a suit there. It's close. It's close enough. All right. So that is true. Yeah. So I did say that. That's correct. And that's the only reason why that might be charged is because he's done it over and over and over and over again. Usually they're not going to go around like hammering on people because you played the North Korean anthem once. They're not going to tackle a tourist for that once. However, you make a big enough deal about it, and maybe that's when the law gets tested, right?
Many times that it is clearly meant to deliberately provoke a reaction. There's also the small matter of every single other thing he's done since landing in the country. And
hold on, sorry, real quick. People are shit talking. He gave you a cauliflower ear. Damn, bro. They did me like that. They did do me like that with the cauliflower ear. Let's see. The Nork music in the subway could be an aggravating factor. Yes, it could be aggravating. Even if it's not a charge, it could still be an aggravating factor. This is what people forget. This isn't America. This is a different system, and it's a system in which you can bring up stuff that is not, it's not charged, but it's relevant in terms of aggravation. That is possible. Peter Park says uncanny resemblance. Junsong Ong Nai for 1. Thank you so much. And Ryobi said, yes, based VTuber lawyer, legally minded. Thank you. Also, I'm banning you. Asian Dragon 456 for 1999. Thank you so much for the big one. Even Johnny Somali made only $100 for streaming. I want to know how did he get a lot of money to buy the plane ticket, hotel, transportation, and food, because the purchases are not cheap to buy. I think it was like he would have had to save up money for that, or also get some money from like some sort of big sugar daddies that are sending him crypto or direct payments or something like that. Maybe text to speech that pays you directly. It is a lot. It's a lot to come out there to pay for that stuff. So yeah, that's very true. Triple J 26 for 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Yes. Appreciate the support. Have we officially got to 100? Are we there? We're 97. No. Sorry, 108. We did get a 108 just now with that. 108. Thank you so much for getting us over 100. Mercenary X21 says, what if someone has chainsaw hands and bear hugs them? If someone is disabled and their disability is chainsaw hands, it might be okay. No, I'm joking. Yeah, you can't chainsaw Johnny Somali in half. That would definitely be assault for sure. Meme says, why is there a corporate animation of Andrew? Welcome to the stream, Meme. We're gonna have to talk about Japanese stuff in a while. I'm gonna have to have you on for that. We get into the Japanese side of nuisance streaming, but yes, I am.
Since he's a streamer, he's recorded almost every crime he's committed, possibly making this the easiest evidence-gathering mission in Seoul police history. Some bonus charges on Somali's list.
The hard part about the evidence, the hard part about collecting the evidence is there's hours and hours that's irrelevant, so you have to narrow it down to the relevant stuff.
Include violating anti-terrorism laws and the Railway Act all at the same time. How?
Yes, the trial is on March 7th. I will be there. I think Atozi will be there. A lot of the Korean streamers will be there. That's the first day. Trials in Korea are about once every month. There's several days, probably 5 or 6 different days of trial, and they're spaced out every month or every other month, like kind of spaced out like that. So we may have, for example, a trial date in March, April, June, July, August, September, and the sentencing may be in September, October, November. So we may have this going on for a while.
By strolling through the Seoul Metro with his phone's text-to-voice function loudly repeating, "I have a bomb" in Korean.
Also, mind you, on the same time, it was playing pornographic noises, which, by the way, I know why he doesn't want to mention this because this can get his video in trouble on YouTube, but I don't give a fuck, and we're already demonetized, so YOLO. He was playing pornographic noises. That's obscenity. In Korea, you cannot play porn in public. In fact, pornography is no in Korea, right? So he did that. He also, around children, was playing sex noises. Around children, he was playing "I Wanna F." I'll let you guys fill in, right? Around children, right? It's disgusting. It's vile. It's sick. It's revolting, right? Johnny Somali, the things he did were, I don't even want to review to be honest, guys, we went over it once. I don't even want to go back over that shit again and we may have to for the evidence purposes of going over the trial and reviewing evidence before the trial. But I don't want to. It really sickens me to be straight with it. It's just, it's hard to watch.
Unsurprisingly, this terrified passengers. On the bright side, at least he made an effort to speak their language. He did the same thing in Japan in 2020.
He didn't make an effort. The text-to-speech was put in by other streamers. The donators. So the donators put the message in Korean. Masurva Palma for 10 legal mindset memberships. Thank you for that. Yes. Sketch Therapy said they made you look young and swole. Legal Chat said I gotta hit the gym again to be like hit it hard to be legal swole set. I like it. Sigrun Eternia for 5 says, what if you're really, really big and you accidentally trip next to him and accidentally fall on him? Well, that's just an accident, right? Accidents happen. Major role for 4 months is my own dime. What happens when he runs out of money? He's done. They don't give him support. Like the government is not going to support a broke criminal. I mean, he'll get food from like a homeless shelter, but I think he's paying Hank with services. And I think Hank's mom, who's legitimately wealthy, gives them a bunch of money or gives her son money. So I think that's they're kind of sharing, that the roomies. We proved it today. The roomies. He's rooming with Hank. So I'm sure that Hank is feeding him something. Now, what he's feeding him and where he's feeding him, I'll leave that to you guys to be your own judge. Asian Dragon 456 499 says makes sense because like most hardworking employee like myself, it's not easy to buy economic class to go there to have fun, not like Johnny Somali. Yeah, exactly. I mean, a ticket in economy ticket to Korea or Japan could cost $2,000 easily, maybe more. Round trip, especially even one way. Almost one way is more. For me, every time I go to Korea, it costs me like $500, right? Sometimes it can be cheaper. It can be like $300 or $400 if I find a really good deal, but $500 is a pretty fair. $500-$600 to go to Korea, right? So it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. Ursula Flats for 100. For 10 legal mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Yes. It's 128 for the day. Thank you guys for being so based. Appreciate you.
23, when he broadcast bomb threats and threats of sexual assault over a text-to-speech function on his phone. Shibuya police detained him there as well. Not to mention, Somali was initially facing a maximum of 5 years in prison for obstruction of business and maybe 10 years in prison at most for drug charges or a fine. Now he's facing up to 22. What happened? Besides him clearly refusing to learn.
He's not so this is a misstatement, and unfortunately, this is a misstatement that's been picked up by a lot of people. At this point, he's facing 5. At this point, he's facing 5. If they bring other charges, it could go up to 20, 30, whatever, right? That, I mean, the theoretical max. Korea does not ever give the max sentence. And I've said that before. So if you're charged with 5, even if you're really, really bad, 3 is like probably the real max. Like the paper max is 5. It's probably more like 3 in realistic terms, right? And then you can go down from there, right? But we could see more charges come that could aggravate this. And the aggravating factors could get us to 3, could get us to 2, 3. And if we got 4, I'd be dancing, right? That'd be a miracle. But they almost never sentence max in Korea. And that's just the way their system is. It's just how it works. You know, whether that's a good thing or bad thing is not for me to tell you. It's just the reality of how it works.
Earn any lessons at all? While waiting for his trial, Somali thought that he would make his already bad situation worse by posting a deepfake video of him making out with a popular South Korean streamer, Bong Bong. The streamer did not press
She's not popular. That's another thing. She's definitely not popular.
charges, but this was the last straw for the justice system. AI deepfakes have been outlawed in South Korea, and the government takes it seriously. Anyone who even has deepfakes on their phone could face a $22,000 fine or 7 years in jail.
He has not officially been charged with this yet, but he could be charged with this at any point.
But distributing deepfakes? That's even worse. Way worse. Legal experts in Korea clarified that if the government wanted to seriously investigate Somali for the deepfake issue,
I think that's spot on. By the way, I do use a laptop from Korea, but I don't use a laptop. Actually, well, no, I have a laptop and a big screen, but yeah, no. Is that uncanny? Is that uncanny? Guys, this uncanny resemblance here? You seeing it? Are we seeing it? I think we see it. I don't know if I have like a little lounger chair that's like 70s lounger chair in the bookshelf, but all right, I'll take it.
they would take
They don't have my headphones. That's right. My headphones are very characteristic. Laptop is for the bathroom stream. That's true. It's true. Orsa Flats says I may be based, but not based enough to drop 100 memberships while we die. No, thank you, dude. Orsa Flats and all of you guys. I appreciate your support. 1 membership, 10 memberships, 20. Thank you. I love you. Appreciate you. Thank you for supporting me. And thank you for being here. Also, thank you everybody for liking the video and getting to 1,000, over 1,000. We're at 1,200. Thank you so much. Super based. I mean,
I'm not sorry, and I did nothing wrong.
except for have a really awesome stream. Thank you guys for getting us to over 1,000. Appreciate that on the likes.
Phone. And on December 17th, 2024, it was reported that South Korean police took Somali's phone, a move that apparently made the YouTuber very fearful for his future there.
Because the deepfakes were on his phone.
Generally, when you're in a foreign country and have messed up so much that the government takes your passport and your phone, you should be at least a little scared.
Yes.
While he was originally supposed to stand trial in December of 2024, Somali's trial date has been pushed back to March of 2025, potentially
March 7th.
due to the new legal issues regarding his deepfakes. In the meantime, he can't leave the country or make money off his usual channels. There's also an army of South Korean streamers following his every move, ready to capture anything else he does wrong. To avoid them, Somali has gone off the radar, and no one is exactly sure where in South Korea he's staying right.
We now know. See, this was made before my video. We now know. See, this says nobody knows. We know on this channel today that he is 100% staying with Hank Yu, Han Jong Yu in Seoul. They're roommates. They're staying together. Video evidence makes it absolutely clear. It's irrebuttable. There's no other explanation, period. That's where he's been hiding. Hank has been sheltering him and hiding him. And Hank has said it himself in writing, so it's clear.
Right now, and with what money? Because due to the amount of time he's been in South Korea, some lawyers say that he would need a work visa to continue streaming, something that the government probably isn't in the
He does not have a work visa. He is not allowed to work on that visa and earn any sort of income in Korea.
mood to give him. Plus, continuing to stream his unique brand of content while waiting to be tried does not sound like the best idea. Then again, Somali has been known to make ridiculously bad decisions before. Worst of all, for Somali that is, not humanity at large, since the authorities now have his phone, they can find all incriminating videos Somali has deleted from his online presence. These include a video of him approaching streamers Moxie and Xena in Seoul and threatening them with sexual assault.
There we
a
go.
favorite hobby of his, apparently. Threatening to assault people is unsurprisingly a crime. Somali tried to hide his threats very poorly by muting his mic in person and then deleting the video entirely from his streaming accounts. But just like everyone's regret,
This is something we caught. See, this is something that we caught on our channel. We caught this. We exposed this. This whole thing was exposed because of this channel and because of also the working with people like Fab and also with people like Xena, who sent me the videos, and Moxie sent me the videos, right? And sent me the information, and their mods were helpful, and they were helpful to get me over good stuff and get me the other angles where it's clear that he made a threat. And it's disgusting. It's horrible. You know, Johnny Somali made a threat to have a gang of Somalians grape Moxie and Xena in their home countries, right? You know, specifically Moxie. Xena, there were other threats too made, you know, to her. Another, you know, defamatory things said, nasty things said, but specifically Moxie, several times, Johnny threatened her with, you know, sexual assault. It's absolutely disgusting. Really disgusting. Let's finish this out.
emo pictures of the 2000s, anything posted on the internet lives forever. Also, he unmuted his mic too early, and his own audio picked up his threats on camera. Recording video and audio of every single offense that could land you in jail usually leaves you with very little room to defend yourself. So, the future is not looking great for self-described internet troll Johnny Somali. The severity of his actions and his repeated efforts to disrespect South Korea and its people, even after warnings, arrests, and a few punches, means that jail time seems like a very real possibility. There's no way to know how his trial will turn out, but public sentiment in South Korea has turned against disrespectful tourists. And American public sentiment was never really on Johnny Somali's side to begin with. People are getting tired of not only horrible tourists, but also the whole nuisance streaming genre in general. If he doesn't get jail time, there's a good chance he'll be banned from traveling back to South Korea for a while, if not permanently. Indonesia tried to ban Somali.
See, this is a thing that needs to happen in a lot of other jurisdictions, is they need to just go ahead and ban him before he comes in. So he's well known. And if he tries to go to Indonesia or, like, you know, Philippines or Thailand or anywhere else, they should just ban him. I mean, there's nothing stopping any of these countries legally from saying, yeah, we don't want you here. A country could create an undesirable list of people they just don't want to have here, and, you know, just say, hey, we don't have to let you in. Fuck you. Go home. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it. Nobody's invading over letting Johnny Somali in the country. You know, we're not declaring war on Indonesia because they won't let Johnny Somali in. That's not happening, right? And at this point, I think no one will blame him. I think people would celebrate that if he got bumped out of a country or banned from a country.
Before he even visited, just based on his online reputation.
Someone said Cambodia will take him. That's funny.
They were unsuccessful, but Japan did manage to ban
And meanwhile, please don't ban him in the Philippines. We want to have some fun too.
and him after his run-ins with the police there. South Korea has every right to do the same thing. No matter what happens, it's a big wake-up call for huge sections of YouTube to realize that a lot of what prank or nuisance streamers do on a daily basis may actually be a crime in some.
And that's kind of the thesis there. And it's not just YouTube. He mentions YouTube, but that's it. So anyways, that's why this American streamer is facing prison in South Korea. Great video. Give it a like. Give it a subscribe. I'll put it in the description after this so you guys can view it if you want. That's my reaction to it. I think it was mostly accurate. There's some details that I clarified along the way. Hopefully brought some like correction to some of that or some extra information or stuff they couldn't say because they're trying to be very PC, right? That those videos reach millions of people often. So when a video is going to reach 1 million people, you have to be very, very careful with it. The reason why my videos don't always get the same reach is because we're a little spicier, and we also do live streaming, long form content, which comes up differently in the algorithm. But that said, let's get to some of these chats. Chaos Sonic says, I'm surprised no one in the stream has super chatted. I, Johnny Somali, have a small eggplant in Korean. I think they said some stuff about his manhood in the TTS. I think so. Japanese demon lord Abari Lucifer says, as the guards in Guantanamo Bay say, He's eating a meat sandwich. I'm not going to ask how you know about the guards in Guantanamo Bay. Well, let's keep moving on. Ryobi says, I will forget Ramsey. I forget, will Ramsey be the first person to be charged with deepfakes in Korea, or at least the first foreigner? He would be probably the first foreigner to be charged. I mean, I'm not confident 100% on that, but I don't think he's the first person. He's not going to be the first person. There have been other Koreans charged. I'm not sure about foreigners. Let me follow up on that. If he is ultimately charged with it, I think he would be one of the first foreigners. So that would be kind of a huge thing, but merited, very much merited. Asian Dragon 456 for 499 says, could the prosecutor get cybersecurity experts to get VODs, giant small deletes? Oh, we have them. We have them. I have them. I have all of his VODs. We have all of his VODs, guys. Don't worry. We've got them. We're not going anywhere. And if we need to bring in a expert to testify to their authenticity, we can bring in Fabarius, who was his mod and hosted his server, who has all of those in full. So, we can get them authenticated. We can fly in a witness to authenticate it from the Netherlands. Isn't that crazy? That's the international power against Johnny Somali and how far he fucked up. If we need Fab, we can fly in Fab. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. That's how bad that's how far the rabbit hole goes. So that's what we got there today, guys. A lot of stuff, a lot of information, some different topics, but it all comes together. I hope you're seeing this picture about nuisance streaming and the larger problem. Once again, not all IRL streamers are bad. Some of them are good. And you know what? I do hope that the nuisance streamers out there that, maybe they had a bad past or whatever, they can clean it up and continue to do good. And if they do good, I see no reason to, I generally will not cover them on my channel unless they're breaking a crime now. Typically, I'm not digging back into cold cases from 6-7 years ago. But if they commit crimes and they're out there actively committing crimes, knowingly committing crimes, or maliciously committing crimes, then everything is on the table. Then their whole history, their whole background, their whole criminal history is on the table. So we'll see about that with the other ones. I think DBR, we're going to look into, obviously continue to, watch that criminal case as it develops. Josh Block, World of T-shirts, and of course, the Cabbage King, Johnny Somali. That said, guys, we had over 128 new members. We had over 1,390 likes. Thank you so much. This has been great. And you know that our big success on these streams always is to the crying and the coping and seething of Johnny Somali. So I will leave you with a little bit of that.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping